way through the pack, but I think the most interesting thing we've got this year is going to be the new TCR cars, front-wheel drive, lots of power, and there's a lot of people just getting to grips with the races, so with the cars, so we should see them develop their skills and get faster as the evening goes on.
Of course, we're at a fantastic track for this first round of Season 3. We're at Suzuka International Race Circuit here in Japan, and the weather is good. We're looking at about 24 degrees with sunny weather, and the track is not quite as rubbered in as we might expect later for the finals, but the track is somewhat green, Luke, but it's a very technical track for our first race.
It is. I've done a bit of testing on it myself. Really pleased to see this TCR circuit. It's going to take a lot of patience, a lot of skill to balance the pedals through the early parts of the track. The S is particularly an interesting one. I think this is going to be a really exciting evening. It's a lot of action, I think, for sure.
Certainly will be, of course, and each of these races for our qualifying races will be 4 laps in length. So 4 laps for this one, 4 laps to reverse, and then we'll move on to Group 2 and Group 3 respectively, and we'll have confirmation for the finals, of course, on the lap numbers. But, of course, the TCR cars, new for Season 3, running the Seat Leon, we've got the VW Golf, the Ford Focus, the Audi TT, and the Honda Civics. Of course, you can see the final part of Group 3's practice session going on at the moment for you on the screen. That's the Group 3 drivers out there getting their times in for now. Let's not forget, of course, Papaluigi's Dialer Pizza, the series powering sponsor. Of course, you know more about Papaluigi's Pizza than I do.
We do. We've been working with those guys over the winter to try and put together a package for our drivers that really develops what Srtcc is, and it's a much better event, much better package now. That means that people get to really enjoy the evening. We just got a bit of a driver's briefing going on here with Ben, the simulator manager, and he's going to keep people in line and make sure that they're all ready to go racing. From the times in that last session, it looks as though our seeding system might be updated soon.
Well, fantastic, thank you. Let's have a quick chat with actually drivers going on, so we're going to give this a break for a moment, and we'll just keep ourselves chatting away quietly here whilst the drivers do their briefing, of course. Something they'll need to know is the rules for the series. You want to make sure they don't breach any rules. Of course, we do know that they've got track limits to consider, of course. Contact rules have been very clearly explained. And of course, it's touring car racing, but it is heavily discouraged. Of course, they don't want to be having people off each other.
Absolutely, and I think one of the benefits of the sim racing is that we've already had in the earlier briefing before testing that
ding
that people will be
ding
penalised for
Marco commentator's phone is dinging away at him. He's very popular at the moment.
That's my fault, not turn that on silent. So yeah, as we know, track limits penalties, those breaches are ruled by the system, and so those penalties, those drive-throughs and time penalties will be automatically applied or issued, which makes our race director's job just a little bit easier.
It certainly should do, of course, and the starting procedures, of course, fairly standard for racing. Lights will come on, and then the lights will go off once they hit green, and that's our starting procedures, of course. But we talked about the weather. We know we're at Suzuka, of course, and we have 4 laps. It's not going to be no pit stops we're going to be seeing in today's races, Luke, so it's going to be fairly standard on-track fare. The position you're in is where you'll finish once we hit 4 laps for these qualifying races. The reverse grid's going to be quite interesting. We've got some definite talent splits, perhaps, in some of these groups. To be the most polite I can be, it's going to make things very interesting, of course. So we'll have to see how busy the stewards will be in those.
Yeah, I was here for the Season 2 finale, and there was a bit of an issue in some of the races, and that meant that our stewards were super busy. But I think actually watching that last test session, we've got Callum Cripps ranked the highest seed for Group 3, and he actually finished down in 4th in terms of outright lap time for that last test session. So hopefully, despite the fact that he's a really skilled driver, that should be really well mixed, and that shows that that formula there for balancing out who's in what heat, that seems to have worked, because we've got some good quality that's come through and above him, and that's exciting for everyone, I think.
Certainly should be, and of course, the last few moments away, and we get ready to go racing here, of course. Simply Race down here in Milton Keynes, Luke, of course, one of the few live sim racing venues we have here in the UK.
it's it's a really good venue. It's I don't know if our listeners and our viewers are aware. It's well rated. TripAdvisor high scores. A 15-pod venue where we have full tech provided by the guys here at Simply Race, including the Thrustmaster supported kit with the T300 steering wheels. It's really really nice way to interact, and I think what we don't have with a lot of sim venues or sim racing is that person-to-person racing and the emotion that you get, and we'll really see that on show tonight when the heat of battle brings those fiery moments out of our drivers.
It's only good, and that's one of the differences, of course, with most sim racing is we'll see that if you bounce into each other on track, there is a real possibility of someone bouncing into each other off track.
There definitely is.
We have actually got Bradley Philippot here with us. He's come to give us a quick chat. Brad, you're involved in running the series. Just give us a little bit of a rundown on the history of the Srtcc.
Okay, so we've been going around about a year and a half or so, if I remember correctly. We've had a couple of seasons already, as you guys have probably been explaining. It's evolved, it's got bigger and more professional and better, as these things tend to. And tonight is the pinnacle of where we are at the moment. We've now got, as you guys have, I'm sure, mentioned, different cars, bigger tracks, a bit more of an infrastructure around the whole thing, and hopefully you're going to watch some nice professional close racing on the stream.
Of course, that's what we're hoping for, but the Srtcc, this is a very unique situation in sim racing, of course. We have actually got all of our drivers in the same venue for this one, so it's going to make things a little bit more visceral, shall we say, in terms of the racing we see. Of course, you're running, I believe, in race number 2. You're going to have a lot of fun with these guys.
Yes, I'm actually in race 3 and 4, but yeah, in round 2, I am going to have a bit of fun. Hopefully not too much. I'm just after a bit of a clean race, but I'm starting kind of near the front and very much near the back in my 2, so it's going to be an interesting one. And you're right, it is unique, this series, because there is a lot of sim racing that goes on around the world, most of the time not with every driver in the same room as each other. So we have proper race control and real stewards' decisions, and you can physically talk to the other people.
Tell us about what we've got here at Simply Race in terms of the pods these guys are using. I mean, I've seen plenty of simulator outfits, people that come to big events with sim rigs and things, and you can go have a go for a 5 or whatever. This is fairly unique in that we've got 15 huge setups here, and these are the sort of thing that a sim racer would dream of having in their own home. I mean, what sort of kit these guys are using?
Yeah, so essentially we've got 15 high-end sim rigs, all with 3 large wraparound screens, the kind of highest end of the kind of sim equipment that you could buy. There's nothing here we have that you couldn't buy if you had loads of money, but the difference is we've got 15 of them, and you can race against lots of people, which you can't do in your house in the same way. And so hopefully they're all set up very well, unlike something like a go-kart circuit. All the pods are absolutely exactly the same, and all the cars are exactly the same. There's no one that's got more power than someone else or anything like that, so it should be ultimately fair, and yeah, hopefully the racing is going to reflect that.
Well, absolutely fantastic. Thank you for joining us, Bradley Philippot, who's actually a driver for Peugeot.
Yes,
The world. He runs in the actual TCR series, I think.
He does. He's a factory-supported Peugeot 308 TCR driver, one of the first drivers of that car in the world, one of 3. So he's hopefully going to prove what he can do with a TCR car this evening, and yeah, we'll see. I think we're just waiting for race 1 to get underway.
Fairly soon, of course. Brad should be fairly quick, we're hoping, in these races compared to the sim boys, but it's something we have seen in sim racing a lot, is that we see sometimes real world drivers who perhaps you think are going to run away with things because they're a professional racing driver, but a lot of these sim drivers could be surprisingly quick.
They can be. I think some of that is the fact that those guys, they don't have that natural instinct of where to back out, because at the end of the day the risk is much lower. If you hit a wall, you press reset and you go again, and that's fine. That's how this stuff works, and it means that you don't go into the corners and quite as gingerly. You're not as scared of the car, because you can really find the limit, that last tenth of a second, and yeah, I mean, Lewis Manley is an example of one such guy. He's a good indoor kart racer, a good sim racer, but never really done anything professionally in that respect. And what we have is just a guy that really does it for the passion, does it for the love of motorsport, and he's he's found his groove, and he comes down here to this Simply Race Centre a lot, and he's very, very fast. So I think we'll see him up the sharp end tonight.
Of course, Lewis Manley, the name you just brought up, of course, 2016's champion in season number 2. So he's definitely one to watch out for.
He was, and season 2 actually it went down to the last race of the last event of the season. So we're seeing quality throughout the grid, and a lot of those guys are pure sim racers. They don't do anything else, and yet there they are, like right up the front. Bradley, season 2, was mixing it in the final round, and he was up the front, but he was by no means the fastest.
Well, that's what we'll have to keep our eyes on and see what goes on in the races for tonight. Of course, no points on the board for now. We're starting completely fresh, and we are waiting now for race 1 to kick off for us. The drivers all situated for the start of this one, and it's a very unique situation we're in here, of course, Luke, in that, like we said, everyone's at the same venue. This is the same sort of vibe as a Strike tournament or a Call of Duty, League of Legends, Dota tournament. This is sim racing going to an esports level here, where we're having this sort of live event. There are spectators here. We have got, of course, all the competitors. Call the drivers, e-athletes. It's sim racing, it's e-racing, whatever we want to call it. But it's a very unique situation. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I think we are heading across to the grid very shortly for the start of this one. We are actually heading across the grid now. So race number 1 of 6 of our, shall we say, qualifying races will be kicking off in just a moment's time. To run you through that starting grid for race number 1 again, it's Lewis Manley on the pole with Lee Connell beside him on row number 1, and it's Shannick Goldeck and Will Murphy in row 2. Row 3, Luke Goodger-Scott, Luke Austin with Joel Bryce, Mike Scott, Luke Browning, Jonathan Hatchett, Richard Leeson, Stephen Williams, Max Spencer and Paul Cheval. We're on the grid ready for this one to kick off tonight. Race number 1 of season number 3, and the green flag flies. And we're racing early on here at Suzuka. Big start. A bit further back, I think Joel Bryce had a huge run to start this one off. And we're going to turn 1 here at Suzuka, and a very tight ride. The entrance, and it gets very tight. Suddenly it's one of those, off he goes. I think the yellow car's just run wide. I'm not sure who that is, Luke, but a big off for one of the yellow Civics back there. What was it? That was, I think that was Luke Austin just going flying off the racetrack there in his Honda Civic. But we've got a really high for the start, kicking off already.
I think what we're seeing here is people discovering the looks of those cars.
Running onto the grass, and I'm sure we'll find out my timing page for us if we can see that. And as what's going on, Lewis Manley still leading. As Lee Connell's moved up into second place, he's running well. The timing is apparently screwy, so we're not dealing with, but everyone heading down now towards. Matt was going totally drifting here in Japan, but heading up now 130R flat. As we go through this
it's a challenge that one you I know it was described as what you need to do is put the cars if you're going to do it on the corner, because if you watch out just manage to get towards that apex curve. So Lee Connell and Lewis Manley really close racing in front. They're just 3/10 separating them after the first lap, and it looks like Lee Connell was having a move around the outside into T1 there.
And that is Luke Ashton's car there, heading up behind the car of Jonathan Hatchett, I think that was. He's got alongside him here, running down through the centre, not the centre S's, that's into Lagos. I'm still talking about last night's race, but up through the S's here at Suzuka as Luke Ashton really gets that car sideways there, dominating the line through the S's, Luke. He's got himself a good position advantage.
Yeah, we've got Lee Conlon and Lewis Manley there. Some really good racing, but they're both getting those cars sliding around, and it'll be interesting to see if one of those guys are getting the times. We're going to put the systems. We can actually check it for them, so that's
even knew it had a name. Apparently it's 200R. You learn something new every day.
Nor I. I think it might be something to do with the radius, but yeah, as you say, it's the first time we've heard of that one. Was in the research for tonight. Watching through the spin curve, they're getting very close. Lewis Manley's brakes are glowing there under load as he slows the car down.
Certainly is. A little bit race lead. It's Manley getting along the outside here of Lee Connell. Can Manley clear him as we head up towards 130? Oh, contact! Running up towards 130R. Bit of body checking there between the two lead cars at the moment as they're really pushing the issue here, and everyone's apparently glitched. So that's a bit of a... we'll see what's happened with that, as I think something went a little bit sideways. We'll have a look back through the field and see what is happening, of course. If we can see it live again, there's a bit of a computer glitch. We apologise, folks, as we thought they drove off into the grass.
Massive shunt there at the back of the field.
Huge, yes.
We'll see if we get a replay of this. 6 off at the back corner.
Oh, massive crashes. There's several cars heading off there. We'll have a look at who is... But that was at least 4 cars there.
Yeah, P3 through 6, and in amongst all of that, Lewis Manley's found his way back past Lee Connell. So last I checked, we had Matt Goodger-Scott in P3, and he's now down in 9th. So that was definitely him involved in that.
He certainly was, and we are still focusing on this lead battle right now. We aren't able, unfortunately, to bring you a replay of that big shunt there in the final corner, but we'll find out post-race what actually occurred there. Manley and Connell right now backed up for the lead in the one car, with, of course, Connell chasing him behind. Two of the very strongest drivers in this, should we say, split of the race is tonight, and they're had a fantastic run.
Yeah, and Lewis running in the eponymous LMR car is on his own, so we know that he's purely racing for the Drivers' Championship. He's got nothing to consider for teams. What we'll know is that he will be absolutely all out for that one, because we know that he can't pick up the team's trophy. But maybe Lee's being a bit more sensible. There are 3 of those guys in the purple helmets team. We'll see. Maybe he's just picking up the points for P2 and waiting for the final to take his chance.
Certainly are. Hopefully have a look back in the field now and see what's going on with Luke Browning, Mike Scott, Stephen Williams. Those drivers looking fairly close together on the racetrack based on that timing. At least it is between Will Murphy actually and Luke Browning. We'll see what's going on for those boys. They're actually split out a bit more than we thought. A big battle here forming up. We've got Luke Brown is one of these two, and I think that's Mike Scott behind him.
No, that's Luke Browning chasing down Will Murphy.
Will Murphy, okay, so we're trying to get our positions orientated on the screen, of course.
Mike Scott just behind them.
Bit of a run actually here for Luke Browning on Murphy. We'll see if we can get up towards him as they head up towards 130R at the moment. And will he have a chance to make a move? Will he look to the inside for 130R? Will the draft be enough for him to get close enough? It won't be. He'll tail him through the corner as he gets a better run. He runs wide. That was Murphy running wide. To the outside goes Luke Browning, going to drop back in line, goes to the inside line. Oh, a missed corner for Will Murphy. He'll have to drop back and not gain advantage as through will go Luke Browning. Move him up to the 4th spot there. Mike Scott also getting through on Will Murphy.
Yeah, Will losing 2 places there, and just ahead of them we've got Luke Austin, who I said before we came live, Rachel, is a guy that will find his way through the pack no matter what happens. He's a quick driver. He doesn't necessarily qualify the best, but his racecraft is impeccable, and he's made his way up to P3.
He certainly has, and we'll take a little bit look further back in your grid, see what's going on for these boys. As Shamak Goldek is running down at the moment in 10th. Of course, points for these qualifying races, 15 points for first. But as it stands, last lap of the race now, we'll head back towards your race lead and see what's happening with Lewis Manley and Lee Connell. It's still Manley leading the way in race number 1 here. Lee Connell in 2nd place. Can he catch up, Luke? Is he going to have time? We are running now down towards the hairpin there on this final lap. He's got a last opportunity running up towards 130R. He needs a great run through Spoon Corner.
Yeah, we're going through 200R here, and he took the wider line there, Lee Connell, out of Degner 2, and that gave him a bit more speed into the hairpin, but it looks like Lewis Manley's just managed to gap him on the way out, and there is really only one line through that hairpin, so if you overcook it a little bit, you're going to lose a lot of time on that run down to Spoon, and that's going to compromise you all the way through to the final corners there. Casio triangle.
Speaking of compromise, he has not had the run out of the Spoon he wanted, and Lee Connor will not have a run on Manley. Manley's pretty skilled, he needs a clean run through 130R through the Casio triangle, and if he does that, he will be the inaugural winner. Race number 1 of season 3 of the Srtcc. Lewis Manley, 1 set of corners left to go, running through the Casio triangle now. Right, left, and the long right-hand corner onto the starting straight.
Great,
and he will be through. Great onboard here on the hood of Lee Connell's car, and that's what he did not want to see. He did not want to see the car of Lewis Manley ahead of him. Manley will come across the start-finish line, and Lewis Manley, your inaugural winner. Lee Connell coming home with 2nd place in first race of 2017. Luke Austin will come across the line a little bit later in 3rd spot. Max Scott behind him will come back in 4th place. Will Murphy actually managed to come back, and he will take 5th. Luke Browning just missing out there.
Yeah, and what we saw there was actually that Lee Connell almost had Lewis Manley coming out of the Casio triangle. It was just that run down towards 130R that he lost out big time there. But if he'd had the draft, I think we could have seen a photo finish.
Certainly could have been a lot more exciting than we thought. We'll run through that final race results for round number 1 here in the first race of the Srtcc 2017 season 3. Coming home with victory was Lewis Manley with a fantastic pole to flag win. 2nd place, Lee Connell, Luke Austin in 3rd, Mike Scott in 4th, Will Murphy in 5th. Behind them, Stephen Williams, Matt Goodger, Scott, Richard Leeson, Jonathan Hatchett, and Luke Browning in 10th place. Behind them, Shamak Goldeck. We've got Joel Bryce and a guy with no name, Paul Cheval in 14th, and Max Spencer in 15th place. We actually are joined right now, Luke, by Lewis Manley, winner of the first round here, 2017 season number 3. On the pole, took it home to victory. A big battle at the end with Lee Connell. How's it feel?
Very happy with the start. Unfortunate with that glitch, because that was a real good battle until the glitch happened, which was unfortunate for Lee. But taking the pole, really good getaway. But did make a mistake when I lost the lead, because I had a little moment. So I managed to get hold of it, keep on track. So good to start off like this, but obviously the second race I've got it all to do from the back of the grid as it's reverse order.
You certainly do, of course. Reverse order for the second race for you guys means you'll have to fight with Lee probably from the back. Any chance of a win in that race maybe?
It's going to be difficult. We'll have to see. It depends if the other guys get through the first corner safely, but it's not going to be easy from the back of the grid, so just got to try and work my way up and see what we can do.
Well, of course, there's a very good chance you'll be in that final race after the win in race number 1, so we'll have to see what you can do with the boys at the end.
Yep, absolutely. I've just got to get a good result on my second one to get a good shot on my grid spot for the final, so let's see what happens.
Fantastic, and that was Lewis Manley. Thank you for joining us here for the Srtcc booth, and we'll see you in the final.
Cheers.
Well, Luke, a fantastic run there, and well, what a race there from Lewis Manley. Of course, we had that little bit of a glitch happen. This is, of course, sim racing. It happens, but everything collected itself. We had a fantastic run there, of course, and well, just exactly what you want to see in this sort of race.
It is, and for those two guys, despite the glitch, to be separated by only a 10th at the end of the race, that shows just how quick they are.
Okay, so next race we're going to be going to now will be actually race number 2. We're not doing a reverse grid for the first set of drivers. We'll be running to race number 2, which, if I'd looked at my actual sheet, I would have known. But I don't read, apparently. I can't English good. We'll run through the grid for race number 2 here. And Jack Ashton will be on the pole for this one, with Bradley Philippot sitting alongside him in 2nd place. Dane Oliver in 3rd place in the 2nd row, with Scott Woodwiss alongside him from Downforce Racing. Grant Lyman in the 5th spot, with Adam Cater alongside on row number 3. Piers Pryor, row number 4, with Jonathan Elliott. Row number 5 will be Sean King and Ryan Ferris. Richard Reddy in the 11th place, with Matt Browning alongside him. 13th, and lucky number 13, or possibly lucky Luke, is Steve Roberts starting last.
Yeah, I mean, I've never found P13 to be a bad place to start the race myself. I've always done quite well from there, but obviously you'd sooner be further up. What that does mean is that he'll be on the reverse grid pole when we come through to race 5 in a little while's time. But I think what we're seeing now is the drivers doing a bit of, I guess they'd pretend they were carb loading, but we've just been greeted by Papa Luigi's Dialer Pizza, our nice sponsored catering coming here. So I'm going to take a wander over and grab us some food before that all disappears.
Well, that'd be very nice of you. Fetch us some pizza. And of course, we're going to have a quick moment here while we just wait for race number 2 to kick off. In a few minutes' time, we'll be joining you back with live commentary in a couple of moments' time. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back to the Srtcc round number 2 here, kicking off. Of course, you got the grid up there on the screen. Jack Aston on pole with Bradley Philippot alongside him. Dane Oliver in 3rd. Woodwis in 4th. Getting ready to kick off now. Drop of the green flag will be in just a few moments' time, and ready for round number 2. Titanic duo on the front. Ashton and Philippot will certainly make things interesting here. The flag will be dropping any time now as the lights are starting to go on the gantry. 4 lights on, 5 lights on, and to quote Murray Walker, lights are out, and away we go. Great start by Jack Ashton. Bradley Philippot starting in 2nd place there in the Audi TT. Great run into this first corner, Luke, as the field really spreads out here. This could be a bit of a problem. 2 of the downforce cars in here, of course, Woodwis and Piers Pryor, as some drifting from Dane Oliver.
Yeah, there we are. We've got the first appearance of that TT, as you said. Jack Ashton just ran a little bit wide there. And yeah, those 2 downforce cars, nice to see those. Really good looking livery on those cars. It's nice and polished, and they stand out from the crowd. But this one should be a close one. We know just how quick Jack is. He finished P2 in the championship last year. In fact, it was Jack and Brad that came together at Donington in the final round, and that's what cost Jack the title. So maybe we're going to see a fierce battle progress on track for this one.
We'll have to see how this one pans out, of course, as it is Bradley Philippot to the lead in round number 2 here, as he will get ahead of Jack Ashton. Put on board there from the hood of Jack Ashton's car. Looking at the Audi TT, fantastic looking race car in the TCR series, and there have been a very defensive line by Philippot early on, making sure he protects that line he wanted, as Ashton might have looked to the outside. Not going to have a run there though. It's Dane Oliver following them there in that red Seat Leon. He's going to do his best here to hold on to these boys, but front 2 breaking away again.
Yeah, I think it's a case of they need to work together. But Brad's a real racer. He knows that Jack will be super quick. Although we're seeing a bit of a drift there from him, a little bit of oversteer. Oh, down.
Oh, the inside. Oh, contact early on there. Bit of a sideways for Bradley Philippot in Spoon Curve. Gets him sideways, taps Jack Ashton as he goes up the inside of Spoon 2. And then he brought Dane Oliver into the mix as well. But they're going to keep moving now, as it's definitely Ashton looking up the inside of Philippot. He has the line for 130R. Will he make it through here? Will Bradley just give him that position? He got across him. Oh, he cleared him in time. Philippot defending his lead there, Luke.
Yeah, in fact, he's gapped him a little bit there, and what we saw in the background was, you said Dane Oliver running for sympathy, and then Scott Whitworth working his way through, and that downforce full focus there. We've got Piers Pryor not far behind either, so it's shaping up to be quite a close top 5 there.
There's the 2 downforce teammates in 4th and 5th there, running interference for each other. They should be in a good position to hold those spots there. Sean King in the 6th place with Jonathan Elliott in 7th, Adam Cato in 8th, 9th place Matt Browning, Richard Reddy, Ryan Ferris, Grant Lindemann and Steve Roberts. I think Richard Reddy's actually moved himself up a few spots. He started 11th right now. He's moved up 1 spot there, but once again we're watching this big battle for the front. We're not seeing much racing further back, but the front, both first 2 races have gotten very, very close, and our race director thought he wanted to switch off the camera that was looking at our 2 leaders there, because apparently I think there was 3rd place was more interesting, but it wasn't. It's Bradley Philippot and Jack Ashton again, and they're right on top of each other, running up here through Dunlop. Very defensive driving by Bradley Philippot here. He's having to be as defensive as he can, and this is definitely making it a very different race. Last time we saw, of course, the leader Lewis Manley running away a bit, but Philippot's really able to fight to hold back Jack Ashton.
So I think what we've got here is the fact that Brad's seed places him slightly out of order as well. We know that Brad's a fast guy. He didn't compete every round last year, and that meant that actually in terms of final seeding, I believe he was seeded 9th of the championship. And so that's meant that he's in a group and, as you said, out of position a little bit. But he's just breaking away there as we come down to Spoon Curve, and it's looking like he's treating this as if he can defend for 4 laps, he'll do it, because we know he wants the points.
He certainly does, and he's going to try and defend as hard as he can here as we're coming up towards the end of lap number 2 of 4 here in the second race, I should say, of the Simple Race Touring Car Championship. And I must say, we just had, in the intervening moments between the races, we had some of that Papa Luigi's Dial Pizza, and that was rather fantastic.
It was pretty tasty. I know that Brad, being the organiser of Srtcc, did some winter testing with the pizza himself as well. When it comes to
he was testing with the pizza, was he?
Yeah, he's had a lot of pizza over the winter, and he's quite happy with how it tastes.
I must say, for a racing driver, the amount of pizza testing he's done, it really isn't showing on him. So that's, it must be good pizza then.
Yeah, clearly, and let's hope that no one claims there's a performance-enhancing benefit to it, because otherwise he'll be in real trouble.
He certainly could be, and well, it doesn't look like he's been eating that much pizza, because Bradley Philippot is actually starting to pull the gap now, and Jack Ashton, Dane Oliver actually holding with these top two at the moment, so closer for third than we saw in the first round. Dane Oliver actually holding on in that CLA on. Philippot and Ashton, though, they are pulling away a bit. We'll look back towards where Scott Woodwis and Sean King are. King and Elliott have gotten past Piers Pryor. He's dropped back to 7th place, so Elliott and King have moved up a bit. We'll have to see what's going on for those boys, because we've got a fairly tight grouping here for 4th, 5th and 6th. And here's that's Scott Woodwis, Piers Pryor's behind Elliott and King. Elliott and King there have just gone past that pink wheeled car of Piers Pryor.
Matching his bright pink crash helmet in real life. But no, what we're seeing here is that Sean King racing his teammates to Luke Austin, who we saw in the first race, the NKL cars. And just ahead we've got Johnny Elliott in the MJS Designs car. That's a team run by Mike Scott, who also races quite frequently in the endurance series that we have here at Simply Race as well. So a very experienced guy. But no, as you've seen Johnny Elliott here, I believe this is only his 2nd or 3rd time to the venue and on sim racing at all. So he's doing very well for himself, considering how some might say he's a bit green.
Certainly is. Piers Pryor got past Sean King there a moment ago on your screens and moved that downforce radio Ford Focus up a spot into the 6th position. Scott Woodwis is actually scamping up a little bit ahead. We'll have a quick look back to your lead as that gap's closed down now, as it's showing the top 3 very close at the moment. Actually, no, it's the same gaps, but it's still Philippot. He's got a bit of a gap now. He's going to have to defend quite as hard, Lewis. He's managed to just pull it up to about a second, I think, on the racetrack between himself and Jack Ashton. But it's still very, very close.
It is, and we're just coming through the Casio triangle here for the end of lap 3. So 1 to go. A bit more of a gap, so Philippot can feel a bit more comfortable. As you've said before, Dane Oliver keeping them both honest. He knows that if they have a coming together, he's going to be there to snatch the points. And Scott Woodwis not far behind either. And he, I think, as we spoke earlier about some of these guys just being pure sim racers, Scott's another one of those. Never done any car racing to speak of, but he gets behind the wheel in a sim cockpit, and he's fast.
Certainly is. In fact, we can actually see him there. If you look from the front of your field at the start finish line, we saw Scott Woodwis just in the distance there. So he's actually the closest we've seen for 1, 2, 3, 4 of the races so far today. Ashton actually catching back up to Philippot a little bit, but Philippot still controlling this one. I think it's looking fairly steady for him on the last lap of the 4 here of race number 2. We'll get to see what's going to happen a little bit later. Of course, we'll have the reverse grids in another race time. We'll go to round 3. Last of our 3 race groups in a moment, Luke, and then we'll have the reverse grids after that in the same order, 1, 2 and 3 again. But right now, Philippot is doing what he has to do. It's closer though between him and Ashton than it was the first round with Lewis and Lee in the first grouping. Philippot, though, in command now as he heads through the hairpin in the final time. This run through Spoon will be critical, whether Ashton can actually get a chance.
Yeah, and what I think we can just maybe point out as well is that this is another Purple Helmets guy. So Lee Connor, P2 first race, Purple Helmets guy. We know that they're quick. They're definitely going to be leading the way for that team's championship after the first 2 races. Shamak Glodek as well in race 1. And then actually, if we look, Brad's teammate for this race, Callum Cripps, is going to be in race 3 of the year. So definitely got some fast guys up the front. Some teams that we should be keeping a close eye on.
Certainly are. As he run up towards 130, our defensive line by Bradley Philippot. Can he hold him in place? Round the outside looks Jack Oliver, but he's Ashton even. He's not going to do it though. He's going to be very close. Oh, he gets his wheel arch to the outside there on Philippot. Philippot defensive as they enter the Casio triangle now. This is it, the last time through. Ashton looking for any gap he could find. Oh, sideways. He's lost the run. That was very aggressive by Jack Ashton. He nearly got in there, Lewis, but Bradley Philippot out of the final corner. He will weave across the start-finish line with victory. Bradley Philippot just held on there. Jack Ashton threw it at him hard.
He did, and we know that if Jack is racing for position, he will throw everything and the kitchen sink at his opponents to try and get through. And sometimes that works for him. That's why he was leading the championship at the final round last year. It's also why he lost out by a point, and it's whether he can keep a lid on it. I think what we saw there, just going into that Casio triangle, just a little bit too eager, and what happened there was he gapped Philpot to him, but he had no other choice. It was last corner, last lap. He's not going to get the win if he follows him through. So he had to give it a go, and you know.
Yeah, he
can't
absolutely
really
certainly.
ask any more than
That was really close at the end there. Fantastic run. I'll have to have a chat with Bradley Philippot in just a minute if we can find him. Just gesturing to Brad to come over here for a bit of a discussion with us, as we have race number 2's winner. Bradley Philippot is here for a chat with us. Brad, we'll just check if your microphone's actually turned on. So congratulations, round number 2.
Yeah, thank you. That was a bit tough, wasn't it? Jack Ashton was a bit all over my rear end, and I made a little bit of a mistake on the last lap because I could see he beat my fastest lap, and you never know when you get to the finals if you're tied on points. Fastest lap could matter. So I pushed a little bit on the last lap, thinking I had a bit of a gap, and then just lost the rear end of turn 1, and nearly threw it away. But
talk to us about lap number 2 though. In Spoon Curve, you got very sideways, and you had a little bit of contact actually with Jack Ashton there as. He is actually showed ahead of you at the moment. I'm not sure what's up with that. Okay, we're ignoring that. But the lap number 2.
Yeah, I don't remember any contact actually.
There was contact.
Okay, I didn't feel it, or I can't remember.
Sideways, and he got up the inside of you, and it was very close for a moment. Was that a bit of an error on your part? Pressure?
The track is quite dirty to begin with, so if you run a little bit offline, the car snaps quite easily. So until you're on lap 3 and 4 and the marbles have been cleared up, it's easy to have a little moment. So I was trying to be quite careful to begin with, but I just obviously put a wheel slightly wide and maybe went in a bit too quick. So, but no drama.
No drama indeed, and congratulations to you, Bradley Philippot, race number 2 winner. Thanks for joining us, and Luke, we're back. Of course, we'll be off the microphones for just a few moments' time as we get ready for race number 3. So join us in just a few moments' time.
Just as we wait for race 3 to get underway, we'll run you down the finishing positions of that race 2. In finishing P1, we have Bradley Philippot, as we know, Jack Ashton P2, Dane Oliver P3, Scott Woodward P4. All finishing pretty much where they started, bar Philippot and Ashton, who had a bit of a switch around. Johnny Elliott got P5, Piers Pryor for Downforce Racing P6, and Adam Daisy Cater in P7. Then we've got Sean King of the NKL team, got P8, Ryan Ferris P9. Richard Reddy of Spanners Ready and Missed Apex Podcast, P13 there. I've missed a couple out. Well, we've got Matt Browning, P10, Steve Roberts, P11, Grant Lyman, P12, and then, there we are, Richard Reddy, P13, to round out that grid there. What we're looking at now is the grid forming up for race 3. We're just sat in the garages. We're waiting for things to get underway. Callum Cripps will be sat on the pole there with Carl Chard P2, Nathan Burton P3 for this race, Colin Talbot P4, Josh Bramwell P5, David Goodway in 6th, Connor Marsh in 7th, row 4? Yes, row 4 will be Russell Edwards and Alex Van Gien, row 5 Andrew Fellows and Ash McCullum, row 6 Matthew West and Jake Sanson will be row 7. Jake Sanson being the owner of Downforce Radio, but there we are. We'll be back with you in just a second when the cars make up the grid, and then we'll be ready to go for the final regular order grid.
Welcome back. Race number 3 coming up in just a few moments' time, and we'll run through your starting order for the third race of our starting order, normal, shall we say, races for tonight. Callum Cripps on the pole for this one with Carl Chard starting alongside him. Nathan Burton starting on row number 2 with Colin Talbot. Row number 3 will be Josh Banwell and David Goodway. Connor Marsh and Russell Edwards. Starting on the row 5 will be Alex Van Geen and Andrew Fellows, with behind them row number 6, Ash McCallum and Matthew West. And then last but not least, it is the one, the only Jake Sanson of Downforce Radio fame. El Capitan himself of Downforce ship. Will this ship hit an iceberg, though, in this race or the next? That's the question.
I've done some testing with Jake, as we spoke about earlier, and he's, we'll say, racy.
I thought you said a weapon before we went on air.
Something like that. Perhaps he'd be better off presenting Richard Reddy's podcast if he causes any collisions like he did at the Monza test. But no, he can be racing. We know that he'll be starting with reverse grid pole as well, so maybe we'll see something there from him.
See, I didn't actually know Spanners Reddy was based on his last name of Reddy. So
his last name's not Reddy. His last name's Gawthrop.
I'm confused now. This is making no sense.
He wanted to race under his... I don't know.
He wants to race under Spanners Reddy, but they wouldn't let him, so his name's not Richard Reddy. It's actually Richard Goldthrop, but he's kind of half and half between Spanners Reddy and Richard Goldthrop, and we got him Spanners.
Yes.
I'm lost, Lewis.
I'm not sure what the radio equivalent of nom de plume is, but he certainly wanted to race under whatever that is for him, and they said no. But it's he finished P13 in the last race. I think he's got 6 entries into this championship as well, so a big team. But only the top 2 from each team score points. So I think he's got them entered under 2 names so that he can have 2 different teams' chances at winning that title. Well,
I'm confused. I hope you guys are at home who are watching this one, as of course we've had our starting grid there. We'll see what happens, of course, with this one. And well, it's going to be a fun one. This is definitely the most lively of our 3 races so far. Before we head back to start running races in the opposite order. Not the opposite order around the track, but the opposite starting positions, which will definitely make things lively. We had a big crash in race 1. Race 2 was very clean. What are your predictions for this one? Are we going to have a mess, or is it going to be a fairly sedate affair?
I think, if I was being honest, I'm expecting Callum to drive away with this one and Carl and Nathan to start battling over P2. If they can keep it sensible and give chase to Callum, then maybe we won't see my prediction coming true. But I think Callum he knows how to keep his nose clean. He's a very fast guy in real life and on a sim rig. So let's see what he can do. He's certainly got the potential to walk this one.
He certainly does, and the race will be starting in just a few moments' time. Cars will head out to the grids, and we'll get ready for this one. We've had your starting order there, of course, and we'll get this one underway in just a few seconds' time. Cars onto the grid then for the start of race number 3. Callum Cripps and Carl Chard on your front row. This will be a big one for those guys. Will we see Callum Cripps run away? Will we have nuclear warfare kicking off as the lights will go on the gantry? All the lights are red. Lights are out, and away we go. It's a good start by Callum Cripps, with a slightly slower start there by Carl Chard, as Cripps will definitely have the lead into the first corner. Very busy behind him as the cars will fan out 2 or 3 wide. Oh, big contact there as one of the black and white machines goes off, and there goes off a Civic as well. And nuclear apocalypse has happened as predicted, Lewis.
There we are. Yeah, with I'm not sure whether that's a Spanners Ready car or a Missed Apex car. There's possibly one of each. That's a Missed Apex car just in P3.
Yeah, everyone's there goes off one of the pink machines. I still need to learn these team names. That'd be something I should probably do, but it's kind of hard to tell what the cars are when they move from these angles. But Carl Chard is in the middle of that group there. He's 3rd place at the moment in the pink machine. Colin Talbot's the blue one, focused by the camera at the moment. That one's looking at Josh Banwell up in 2nd place. As a big battle forming over to the first of the Degners. That's optimistic as they get very aggressive now. Carl Chard looking forwards towards Josh Banwell. Of course, up front is Callum Cripps still with a very good run, but Josh Banwell secured that 2nd place very early, and he's got a good position here to move forwards. As Carl Chard, a little struggle from him.
Yeah, Banwell's a quick guy, but he's sliding around, and I think that's what's backing Carl up as well. So it's definitely going to be feisty between them. I said Carl would be battling with someone from P2. I thought it might have been Nathan Burton, but there we are. Banwell's made his way through. And
well, when they tell you to make the car wider to stop people passing, sideways is probably the widest the car can be. As everyone's going very sideways there, Banwell and Chard. Chard actually got past, but he's dropped back again. No, he's actually gone through again. So Carl Chard back up to 2nd base. Is very sideways by... Oh, big hit there by everybody. Everyone's dead. As David Goodway, Josh Banwell, Russell Edwards all in a big hit there, and cars backwards, sideways, upside down. They can't really really decide what direction you want to be in. But that changed the dynamic of this race, certainly, Lewis.
It did. I think that's David Goodway that made his way through there in the Audi. It was either him or
I've seen a
Matthew
replay
West.
there of him very sideways in that corner. That's one of the...
That's David West there in
yeah,
the
one of the
HP Enterprise Audi TT.
It is the Audi, and that was a very unhappy Audi going Tokyo drifting. But we'll look at the running order as we have what's left running order. It is Callum Cripps leading the way from no overlays on the screen, so I can't tell who's where at the moment. That was fantastic, but we are showing a replay of that big incident there. Oh, he went into the inside barrier. I think that was actually in this one. That was actually Colin Talbot that was large that one off as the 34 car moved and round he went, collected everybody there as it's Callum Cripps, Carl Chard, David Goodway, Josh Banwell, Russell Edwards, Alex Van Connor Marsh, Andrew Fellows, Colin Talbot, Ash McCallum, Jake Sanson, Matthew West is last, of course, of 12. So Jake Sanson moving up a couple of spots to attrition at the moment as the downforce chap himself struggles to keep his car in a straight line. I got him a bit, but we love Jake, really. Callum Cripps, though, has really pulled that gap now. He's got 3 seconds over Carl Chard. The battle on the island side backwards has really cost him. We did say Callum Cripps might run away with this one, Lewis, and he's done just that.
He has 3 seconds clear nearly already, and what we saw there actually in that shunt was the 130R racing car of Colin Talbot, I think, caused maybe that. Just looking back at those replays, and David Goodway really profited. I mean, he got a little bit of a tap in his TT, but he moved from like P6 or P7 to P3, so he did okay. He did okay. He won't be too unhappy about the little tap because he's made 3 places.
He certainly has, and as this one is the battle still there for second, third, and fourth, very close in the track between Carl Chard, Josh Banwell, David Goodway. As they're getting a bit shunty, as in from the back comes David Goodway and slams into Josh Banwell, spins him round, tries to move him now, and that one's going to be investigated by the stewards. And out of nowhere,
Colin Talbot again with the. It's that same corner 2 laps running. He's going to be in trouble with the stewards.
Colin Talbot might need to get new glasses. I think someone should have gone to Specsavers because he arrived at a wreck that had already finished and then made it worse. So that is some serious Pastor Maldonado antics from Colin Talbot on the racetrack as that's shaking up our top 5 and 6 cars again. Still Callum Cripps now really scampering off from the field. Carl Chard, David Goodway, Alex Van Gien has now moved up through attrition. Josh Banwell, Russell Edwards and Colin Talbot somehow benefiting from all this carnage, which is absolutely fantastic. Behind him is Josh Banwell, who was second at one point, is now back down to the 7th spot. Jake Sanson, though, he's up to 8th. All this death, I think he might have slipped Colin Talbot a 5. These backwards race cars.
But do you know what I'm noticing? A complete absence of him commentating, because I think we found the only way possible of shutting him up.
Might be right, Lewis.
He's known as Motormouth, and I think that's it's an accurate nickname. But yeah, there he is, just making his way through the field and chasing down Josh Banwell. We know Banwell's quick, so we'll probably gap him, but anything can happen. 3rd lap into this race, we've already had 2 shunts coming out of Spoon. Who's to say we won't make it 3 in a row?
I think we might have a few more, as we've just been pointed out that 2nd and 4th for Mr. Apex team, as Spanners himself has come to let us know of his proud fatherly status over his team. Although it has been a bit of a boxing match for 2nd through about 8th in this race so far. They've managed to survive so far. Thankfully, by missing the apex, they managed to not be involved in the accidents. But Carl Chard up in 2nd place, of course, and Alex Van Gien in 4th for him. As Cripps has definitely run off. His gap at the moment is fairly reasonable. It's looking a little close now. Entirely accurate.
I think that might be there. That's his last lap time. But what we're seeing on screen now is Colin Talbot.
That's actually our lap time. It's not gaps.
Yeah.
That's
Colin Talbot,
gaps, not lap time.
Colin Talbot, creator of the shunts, coming into Spoon Curve again on someone's tail. So who's to say he won't make it?
That blue that's one of our Say It Leons, I think it is, or is that the Golf? That's actually the Golf, I think.
No, that is the Leon.
That's the Leon. Of course,
here we are, same place again.
I think you should lay on the.
Maybe, but
come on, I'm Mr. I make terrible puns on broadcasts and somehow get away with it to keep a job. But Colin Talbot, is he going to hit somebody else? We'll have to keep an eye on this. Is he hitting the apex there?
He's going to cut the corner by an absolute mile. So
I tell you what, if I was Russell Edwards, I would be absolutely bricking myself right now because you've got one of the biggest weapons in this race sitting behind you, ready to back of you again. Maybe no, he's going to look to the outside. As be for him, moving up to 5th spot, possibly here into turn 1. He'll have the inside line. Colin Talbot make it work, and oh no, this time he gets hit.
That was all
That's
Russell's fault.
Unusual. Russell turned in.
All Russell's fault.
And this is something the drivers are told in the briefing, of course, that don't turn in on cars when they're there. And for once, Colin Talbot actually the victim. So we'll replay up on your screens there as Russell just turns in and kills himself in the process. So that's Russell Edwards knocking himself out of the race. He told
an outtakes reel somewhere. No, I think Colin Talbot now with 2 shunts and a cut corner. He's definitely going to have to go and visit the stewards because
he'll be going to the naughty step, won't he?
He's
in the
not
office.
the Messiah, but he is a very naughty boy.
Absolutely. We'll cut back to your race leader, Callum Cripps. We really ignored him as he's Lewis Hamilton. Very dominant position for him. As down 200 for the final time for him. The field actually fairly spread out now after all their incidents. As through spoon 1 and 2. And his final lap wrapping up here, up through spoon 2. The run up to 130R. Behind him is Carl. It's actually him rather impressive. Carl Chard 1.9 seconds back. It's not going to be enough for him, but it was certainly improvement. It was not closer than we thought he was, Lewis, but Callum well, that's 2 times we've seen Audi TTs go to the top podium in 2 races now of the 3. And Callum Cripps out of the across the line. Callum Cripps, your winner in race number 3. Carl Chard will come home in 2nd place of the walking wounded from our battle in race number 3. David Goodway will come home in the 3rd spot on the podium. Alex Van Geen from Missed Apex joining his teammate Carl Chard will be in 4th place. Banwell in 5th, Colin Talbot in 6th, and Jake Sanson ends up finishing 7th thanks to the massacres of race 3. Russell Edwards with Connor Marsh, Andrew Fellows, Ash McCallum and Matthew West there. So a fantastic run to the end in this one, and well, it's been a fantastic thing. We're being asked what's been going on with the comms, says Radtech on YouTube, as we actually are joined now by Callum Cripps. Callum, let's see if your microphone's turned on. I think it is, so hello, congratulations. Hello. Bit of a runaway win for you. Everyone decided to kill each other in race number 3, so you had a very quiet time of it.
Yeah, my first corner didn't exactly go to plan. I mean, I lifted off and then the back just came out completely and I was just like, this is not going to be good. But yeah, then, I don't know, it was a back straight on, I think it was lap 1. I just looked behind me for a split second and just saw carnage. But yeah, it's a good win for the team. So me and Brad both won our races, so 100% record so
we
far.
did mention the Audi TTs have now won 2 of the first 3 races of 2017, and of course you've just taken that nice victory. Very easy one for you, of course. You didn't see any of the cars after the race started. Were you aware of the apocalypse happening behind you?
I kept on hearing a few screams behind and thought, okay, this is kicking off. But I looked to my left because I can see all the actual TV screens, so I saw there was a bit of carnage. But no, I just tried to keep my head down. I made a few mistakes, but I haven't done any laps of this track in this car as of tonight. So yeah, quite happy with the win.
Well, a fantastic run from you, Callum Cripps, taking the victory in race number 3. Of course, you'll be starting from the very back in race number 6, the reverse grid one for you. So yeah, hopefully you'll be able to come forwards.
Yeah, hopefully. I might try a few tricks off the start that I think might be able to work, because the cars they will spin in when they start off so much. So yeah, I'm gonna try a few things and hopefully, well, I might even hold back and just stay out of trouble for turn 1, but we'll see what happens.
Well, a pro tip from us in the commentary box is avoid Colin Talbot for race number 6.
Yeah, bless him. Good old Colin. He's a good lad. He's a good lad. It's more suited to GTE cars, I think, than touring cars. But I think through the season, Colin will definitely. There's a few people we really got to watch because they're going to be quick by the end of the season.
Certainly will be. Thanks for joining us, Callum. Of course, taking the victory. Teammate of Bradley Philippot, so 2 winners for your team in the first 3 rounds. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Well, back to us in the booth, Lewis. We're going to take a quick break on the comms, and we will be back and join you for race number 4, which is group number 1 again. And we'll see what happens with our first of the reverse grid races.
I'll see you after the break. just going to take a little wander now whilst we wait for the grid for race 4. I'm going to try and find Bradley Philpott, team principal of Racetuition.com Audi TT racing team. He and Callum Cripps, both of those guys getting wins here tonight. 3 drivers per team. Top 2 points finishers score points for the team's championship. So those guys taking the maximum of 30 from 30. And the Purple Helmets team with 28 points got Lewis Manley Racing, obviously the solo driver in that team with 15. So he's also got a 100% record, but probably not in the hunt for the team's championship. But what we're seeing here is some real. Third race we had a lot closer racing down the field, and so Carl made a good start, but not as good as Callum Cripps, and that's really where that race ended for the or the race for the victory there ended there. Bradley Philpott, just talking about how the top 2 drivers for each team score points, and your guys, Racetuition.com racing team, you and Callum both getting the win, so you've got a maximum 30 from 30 possible.
So far, but we have to start at the back for the next one.
You do, but leading the team's championship after the first round of races is no bad place to be.
Yeah, so I'm sure you've kind of explained you can have 3 drivers in a team. We only have 2 present. We've got Arnaud Tinet in France, who will be over hopefully for some of the rounds, and it's simply the top 2 highest scoring drivers on the day whose points count. So we just look at 3 drivers at the end of the round and then see who scored the most points, and it's their points that go towards the team's championship. So it's simple as that. So we've got 2 drivers. Hopefully we'll both score reasonably well. There's a few other teams though very similar. Like Purple Helmets are quite a threat.
Yep,
they've
28 points for those guys. 2 P2s from 2 races.
And they've got a backup driver. Obviously they've got Shamak there, or it's normally Lee and Jack who are at the front. But Shamak, if something goes wrong for one of the others, to kind of mop up and make sure they keep scoring points.
Yeah, I think he got a solid finish there in race. Oh no, he didn't. He actually had a shocker of a race 1, P11, so not doing so well, but obviously we know his points not needed right now. The other 2 guys getting 2 P2s, so that's a good start for both of those teams, and we'll see how things stand after the next round of races,
which is our first reverse grid race, so this is going to be interesting.
Certainly is going to be interesting. Back in the booth, it's Rachel Wyford and Lewis Jones here for the first of our reverse grid races. We didn't really work out what was going on with the microphones. We were holding the aerials, which is apparently not what you should do with radio mics. So hopefully everything will be nice and clear for you now listening on the broadcast, as we're getting ready for reverse grid race number 1, round number 4. And the grid for this one will be Paul Cheval, Max Spencer on the front row, Stephen Williams and Richard Leeson, Jonathan Hatchett, Luke Brown, Mike Scott, Joel Bryce, Luke Austin, Matt Goodger-Scott, Will Murphin, Shamak Glodek, yes, I was trying to remember how to pronounce his first name, Lee Connell and Lewis Manley. We'll see what happens as the cars head to the grid. Lights will be coming on in a few moments' time, and round number 4 will kick off. This will be an interesting one, of course. The lower seeded drivers ahead of the faster drivers. We'll see what will come of this one. Can Lewis Manley and Lee Connell come from the back of the grid to get forwards? Lights go out. Away we go, and it's a slightly messier start already. Stephen Williams from the pole has been overtaken already, as this one is cars on the grass. I think that's Joel Bryce running very wide, as it's a big cluster into turn number 1. Jonathan, off goes Williams, I think, as he does. Yeah, Stephen Williams goes very wide in turn number 1 and 2. Through goes Jonathan Hatchett, Luke Browning and Mike Scott. Richard Leeson as well, moving forwards as everyone's sideways. Oh, sideways goes another car. That was Joel Bryce, has been killed, as I think that's Shamak Godek has gone off as well. Lee Connell going up to 5th place already. He's up to 4th. Lewis Manley up to 6th place. His car's reversed onto the track. It looks a bit like a banger race at the moment, but Jonathan Hatchett is still leading. Luke Brown. The guys from the very front of the first race, of course, getting through now, already up to like 4th and 5th. This is huge for them, because they have a real chance now of catching the front of the pack. They've had the traffic cleared for them.
Yeah, and that's part of why this format works well, because we see those that can overtake and those that have got the racecraft will always find their way towards the sharp end of the grid. They might not get a whole load of wins, but it's about collecting points and keeping your nose clean. And what we saw actually through those first few corners was that those guys that are just struggling to get used to these new powerful front-wheel drive cars having a few moments and taking a few of their competitors with them.
It certainly is, and you can see there, that's Jonathan Hatchett, Luke Browning, Will Murphin, front 3 in this one. Behind him, that purple car's Lee Connell. He's already caught his front 3, which is fantastic. In fact, he's actually 2.9 seconds back from your lead trio. And 2 seconds behind him is Lewis Manley. So this one is definitely not over yet. You've got 5 cars that could be potentially in the tussle for this win. We're about to complete lap number 1 here. And that's Will Murphy might be making a move on Luke Browning. He backs off over 130R. Not going to go for the move yet as they go through 130R. Jonathan Hatchett holding the lead at the moment for now, but he could be under threat as soon as the field is really closing up very quickly. Lee Connell already claimed another second back here. Lee Connell really considerably faster than his front 3. He's going to be in this mix very quickly, Lewis.
He is. We know that he's fast. We know that Lewis is fast as well. But Lee's just handled that first lap a little bit better. It'll be interesting to see how he deals with the traffic and whether. I mean, they don't have to make themselves any easier to pass than anyone else in this race. They're at the front by rights, and they don't have to get out of his way. So if Lee can make his way through this traffic, great. But if he can't, that's going to be Lewis's opportunity to strike. So, but we've got a tight front 3 at the moment, and that's good racing that we're seeing here. They're all nice and clean, even if they are sliding around a little bit.
Certainly is, of course. Manley's actually made up a second on this front group, so if Lee Connell can't get through them very quickly, this definitely means Lewis Manley could catch up, and we really have a 5-way fight for the front of this one. On board the hood there of Lee Connell as he heads up towards the back of Will Murphy. Lee Murphy's going to have to get a move on with Luke Browning if he wants to stay ahead of Lee Connell, because he goes up the inside, big dive there in second Degner. Big body contact between Luke Browning and Will Murphy, but fantastic move there by Will Murphy as they all run to each other as their bodywork contact, leaning on each other in the hairpin there. And again, he drives off the track and round he goes. And that was Lee Murphy off the track as he comes back onto the track, and that's Lee Murphy and Luke Browning in heavy contact there. And that's moved Lee Connell and Lewis Manley up to second and third as we had a big incident there between Browning and Murphy. Scott's come through to 5th.
That didn't work for Lee Connell into the hairpin, but on the way out he got away with it. I mean, we were seeing those 2 guys, Luke Browning, Will Murphy, and they were a bit of a mobile chicane. Bearing in mind we're in Japan, maybe we should call them Shin Unikano in deference to Formula One's famous mobile chicane, but then they managed to get themselves out of the way fairly swiftly thereafter. So if Jonathan can hold on to this and just hold Lee up a little bit, then Lewis is going to be in contention. He's closed the gap. He was 3 seconds back on Lee. Now it's 2. Maybe we'll see something else evolve as we get to the end of this lap 2.
10-second penalty, we think, for Murphy for that incident, as he's been already penalised, judged, jury and execution already in place, as Jonathan Hatchett must feel under threat now, as here comes Lee Connell onto the front stretch as we head on to lap number 3 of 4. Lee Connell and Lewis Manley looking very threatening behind Hatchett as Hatchett goes defensive here. He's every right to be there. As round the outside will look Lee Connell into 1 and 2. He's not going to have the line as he gets very sideways and drifting the corner in 2. He's still holding on to this one as here comes the car of Lewis Manley as well. Well, this is a fight for some serious points here, of course. If Connell finishes ahead of Manley in this one, they'll be tied on points, I believe, Lewis.
They will be, and that's the benefit of these reverse bridge races, we said, is that it mixes things up a bit. But also, we know that with that sideways moment and these cars, that really hurts the front tyres. You've got all of the steering, all of the power through the front tyres, and Lee getting sideways, it's going to hurt him on this lap. He's not going to have the grip. He's going to have overheated that tyre, and maybe not then when he got sideways, but later this lap we're going to see Lewis really closing in on him. The gap already down by another second, so let's see how this pans out as we come down towards the hairpin.
Very defensive driving by Jonathan Hatchett there, as just at the inside looks Lee Connell. Can he outbrake him into the hairpin? No, he's going to try as he hits him. And he sends Jonathan Hatchett off the track. That's going to be a penalty, I think, for Lee Connell.
You would imagine, but, he got himself into trouble there, and now Lewis is right on his bumper, so I don't think
That's
Lewis
got to be a penalty, though, Lewis. That has to be a penalty, because he made contact with the race leader. It wasn't a clean move, so that could be a change.
I would imagine he's going to take a penalty for that one, and just to compound his problems, he's now got Lewis breathing down his neck, and Lewis will not let up. We know how clinical he is.
Do you think Lewis Manley would have seen that contact and go, I think Lee will get a penalty for that. I don't even need to try and pass it because he'll get maybe a time penalty and I'll win the race anyway.
I know how Lewis thinks, and finishing second isn't where his brain goes. He doesn't know anything other than I'm racing all out and I'm going to fight for this one. And we know he's very clean as well, actually. Lewis is a really, really tidy driver, but, maybe he's proving me wrong. It looks like maybe he's eased off. So you could be right there with that one, Rachel. I don't know. We'll have to see how things pan out this final
Lewis
lap.
Manley in second place behind Lee Connell, and if they finish in this order, they'll be tied on exactly the same points. They'll both be on 29 points for this one, which will be quite interesting when you go into the final rounds in terms of placing and seeding. Fastest lap will, of course, split them in terms of starting order. So as it goes, this could be a very exciting one. Lewis really wants to finish ahead of him. That secures a spot for him, no problems. And well, as it stands, we did know that Lee was a little faster in the first race than perhaps Lee Connell was. So maybe that Lee Connell might actually have the fastest lap. We'll have to depend on whether there's a penalty or not here. But on our final lap right now, and we are kind of focusing on the lead here, but it's been very, very active in terms of our top seeding positions. Connell and Manley is behind them. Jonathan Hatchett drifting through the Suzuka S's there at the start of the lap on this final one. Holding on there. Jonathan Hatchett, of course, he was one of our front starters. He started 5th, actually, overall.
He's got to
So
be
about
happy
halfway
with
down
that.
our grid. That's a great result for him, potentially.
Yeah.
There.
Two places gained, maybe more. Depends if Lee
He's
takes.
gained in a reverse grid race, which is great for him because he had much faster guys behind him and he's moved forwards. So that's going to make him feel really good going towards the end.
And if Lee takes a penalty, maybe it's P2. So we'll see how things are. I'm going to take a wander over and chat with the race director, and then we'll see how things are shaping out as we come through the last lap. Rachel, you take the viewers through that, and I'll go and have a chat.
We'll hopefully have a chat with the race director in just a moment's time, and we'll see what will happen. Of course, as we're going to get a comment back from him in a second's time as we come through the final lap, second part of Spoon Corner, and it's going to be looking like a comfortable run for Lee Connell. Lewis Manley may have settled knowing he's going to get a time penalty, so he would be staying in second place. He's not close enough to make a pass on Lee Connell. Lee Connell looking secure now to take this one to the checkered flag as they come through 130R for the final time in race number 4.
So
Luke Browning actually in 4th place. Lee Murphin in 5th spot at the moment. Casio Triangle for the final time now. Lee Connell, Lewis Manley, 1-2 here in race number 4. And they'll come through the final section, final corner, and Lee Connell will take the flag. Lewis Manley coming home second, and you have got an update from race control?
I have Lee Connell taking a 10-second penalty there for that one, so we think he's going to end up being P4. That puts Jonathan Hatchett and Luke Browning on the podium. Gives Lewis 2 wins from 2, so he'll be really happy with that one, and we'll grab an interview maybe with Lee and Lewis after the race and just see what their thoughts are.
Yeah, we'll try and have a chat to both those drivers in just a few moments' time. Do you want to... We'll see what happens with those two as Lewis Jones going to go off and grab us Lee Connell and Lewis Manley so we can have a chat with these two in this one. A very controversial end to race number 4, the first of our reverse grid races. Will it go on for race number 5 and 6? We'll have to find out what will happen, but it's certainly been exciting so far, more than perhaps we expected in the races so far tonight. But it's been an unusual run through race number 4. It definitely bodes well for future events. We're going to have a chance to chat to those guys right now. Lee Connell and Lewis Manley hopefully heading to us for a quick word. And I think they are coming to have a chat up to the booth right now as the finishing results for round number 4 were Lee Connell, Lewis Manley, Jonathan Hatchett, Luke Browning. And obviously Lee Connell finishing 4th with that penalty. So it'll be Lewis Manley, Jonathan Hatchett, Luke Browning, Lee Connell, Will Murphy, Mike Scott, Shamek Goldeck, Luke Austin, Matt Goodger, Scott, Luke Bryce, Stephen Williams, Richard Leeson, and behind them, Paul Cheval, Paul Spencer. And we are joined, of course, by Lewis Manley. Lewis, you came home second in the race. What happened? You saw, of course, the incident between Lee Connell and Jonathan Hatchett. Did you see that and think, he's going to have a time penalty, I can stay in second and win this race?
I sensed something was coming because Lee was moving to the left and then the leader was also moving. They were defending his line, but it seemed Lee Connell was sort of there, but taking it out has obviously done the damage for him. But as now I've just known he's got a penalty and I've won the race from the back of the grid. I just really can't believe it at the moment, so very happy.
Well, back of grid to the front of the grid is an impressive achievement for any race driver, especially in a 4-lap race at a track like Suzuka. A significant carnage at the start of the race, of course, in the S's. You, of course, and Lee moved up to the 4th and 5th spots inside the first half of the lap. So, of course, that majorly helped you. But, yeah, of course, that incident was really the deciding factor. This has, of course, put you seeded number 1 at the moment in points overall, depending on where we're going now. It was going to be, if you actually finished with Lee ahead of you, it would have been tied in points, and fastest lap would have decided things, but you've got to feel confident now going into the final round.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's 2 wins out of 2. That's perfect for me, because starting from the back and to win was just exceptional. On the first lap, with all the carnage, with the people side by side and so on, and then I think turn number 3, Lee started to go onto the grass, and someone came in front of me, and I had nowhere to go, but unfortunately I tagged him, but there's just nothing I could do. So, but I got up to 5th by Dunlop corner, but then I knew the leaders were going to be together, so if they take each other out, then it's just my opportunity, and I took it, full advantage of it, and so I'm delighted to win again.
Well, fantastic result for you, Lewis Manley. 2 race wins now in round 1 and 4. We'll see you in the final.
Yep, cheers.
Thank you very much to Lewis Manley joining us there for the final round of his 2 races here. So that's group number 1 complete so far in the Srtcc round number 1 here, as we are joined by Lee Connell. Lee, perhaps not the way you would want that one to end. Tell us about what happened between yourself and Jonathan Hatchett.
Well, I've just looked back on the replay, and to be fair, it was close, but I think it was my fault. I got the run on him, tried to get down the inside for the next corner. I thought I had a nose in front, so I wasn't expecting him to come across, and he come across and just tapped his rear quarter.
Unfortunately, you being the car that made the contact, you had a penalty come in there, unfortunately. It's dropped you back to 4th place, but I think you are still, based on points, still secure for the final?
Yeah, well, we'll see what we can do in the final. Jack hopefully take home 1 and 2 in Team Purple.
Well, best of luck for you moving forwards from this one. Unfortunate end to race number 4, but still, you got a top 5, so good result.
Brilliant. Cheers, thank you.
Thank you for joining us for that one. That was Lee Connell joining us in the booth, as we'll take a few moments before we head to race number 5 and the Group 2 final race.
Attention grid, all non-essential.
Well, we're on the grid for race number 5 right now, and it's Steve Roberts on the pole with Matt Browning alongside him, and Richard Reddy starting in 3rd spot, Ryan Ferris, Sean King, Jonathan Elliott, Piers Pryor, Adam Cater, Grant Linman, Scott Woodwis, Dane Oliver, Bradley Philippot, and Jack Ashton. That's been going on the gantry now as they do 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. The lights will go out and we'll go racing here at Suzuka for race number 5, and it's a big start by Scott Woodwis and Piers Pryor as they're fanning out. Oh, big contact on the start-finish line, and the whole grid trying to kill each other. There's 4 or 5 cars had an incident there as we've had a
Restart.
We're restarting, apparently.
Look like Steve Roberts got a jump start there as well.
That's a first for sim racing commentary for me, as we're restarting the race. Welcome to Gran Turismo.
Yeah, I've seen this before. This happened at the tail end of last season. It's sometimes people get a bit too fiery, but as we were saying off air there, just briefly, Brad being a real racer, we know that if something goes off in front
he avoided that.
He will sense it and he will get out of the way. He did straight through there, P12 through to P5.
Exactly. I mean, he missed the incident, but we are restarting now, of course, and the race will restart in just a few seconds' time, as hopefully this time we'll get it right.
Yeah, let's just watch Steve Roberts. I think he got a jump on the last one, so maybe maybe it was just a good start. No,
Lights
he was
are
a bit
out.
more conservative there.
Yes, hopefully they'll learn from their lesson this time. But as they're still going to race very aggressively there, 5, 6 wide, running it through to turn 1. You can get in there 4 wide, but can you get out the corner that wide? You can't. There's all contact again, and 2 or 3 cars around, and 3, 4 cars are off, and they've done it again. So exactly the same thing has happened. But we'll have a look at where the Audi is. The Audi's coming through as all 3 cars go off there.
Yeah.
And I think one of those could be Jack Ashton. It is Jack Ashton involved in that there. Bradley Philippot through into P5.
Or was that
And they're all
Shamak
crying for a
Glodek
restart
maybe
right
instead?
now, but I don't think they're going to do that. As they can't exactly have more than 2 or 3 goes. That's learn from your mistakes, boys territory, I think that is. As Bradley Philippot up to 5th from 2nd to last there. 13th place up to 5th. As, Jack Ashton, who was coming from the very back, he got caught in an incident and turned around. So this is what we're talking about. You know, Bradley Philippot saw it coming, he avoided it. He's going to work on Scott Woodwis now.
2 for 2.
As 2 for 2 there. As, he gets past 2 more cars that have made mistakes and moved them forwards to 4th and 3rd respectively.
Scott's
Piers
a good
Pryor
racer.
leading with Dane Oliver. Bradley Philippot in 3rd now as he goes up the inside of Scott Woodwis. Woodwis had nothing for Pryor there, Philippot there, as he'll get through now. It's Piers Pryor and Dane Oliver, the only 2 ahead of the Peugeot TCR driver, although he's driving an Audi in this series. But Piers Pryor leading the way. We've had a real shuffle up in this one.
I think I might even know. Oh, there we are. Woodwis looking down the inside of Philpott. But no, I think I might be able to tell you why he's gone for the Audi. Those stripes on the back end looking not entirely dissimilar to the Coupe Franche on his 308 race car. Those diagonal stripes, and I know of his love and affection for even that small design element of the Peugeot, and that might have driven that decision. But yeah, he's kept his nose clean. 2 race starts. He's stayed out of trouble both times, and that's the sort of behaviour, the sort of driving that we expect from a professional like Mr. Philpott. But Scott Woodwis keeping him honest. A lot of pressure there from the downforce radio racer, and we'll see if he can come back at Brad in a moment.
Well, Dane Oliver's managed to get past Piers Pryor now, so it's Dane Oliver to the point here, on to lap number 2 here at Suzuka in race number 5. Behind him is Piers Pryor, Bradley Philpott, Scott Woodwis, Matt Browning, Sean King, Adam Cato, Ryan Ferris, Jack Ashton, Jonathan Elliott, Steve Roberts, Richard Reddy, and Grant Lyman. There's a real shuffle up from that lap 1, turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 incident we had, as they kind of continued crashing for the entire S's.
They really did. I think the first start they turned it up to 11 on the Billy scale. So they've just reined
The
it in a
dirt
little
scale was off the Richter, I think, on that one.
It was, that was special. But even the second start, that's why we have reverse grid races. We saw a bit of it in the first one, but no one could have predicted 2 starts and 2 chaotic.
You think they'd learn from the first start
lap.
and having to restart that something had gone drastically wrong and not to be quite as silly.
Yeah, and we're seeing Philpott closing back in on Pryor. He closed down on him after 130R as well, but it'd been gapped through the Casio triangle. So maybe Brad's not going to have it all his own way, and we'll see if he can progress through to the P1 by the end of the race.
Well, what we are seeing here, of course, is the gap being pulled by 1 and 2 right now. Oliver and Pryor staying about the same distance with Philippot and Woodwis. So our top 4 very close here, and definitely things getting a bit on the exciting side as gaps behind Philippot and Woodwis. It goes up to about 3 seconds gap back to Matt Browning, and then it's very close between Browning and Cato. So we'll try and see what's going on with Browning and Cato at the moment on the racetrack as they're running in 4th, 5th and 6th places. Yeah, they're very close to each other as they head through a Spoon curve. So Adam Cater looking to the inside now. Matt Browning got a good run out of Spoon. Up the inside, we'll have probably the pass completed actually by the time we get towards 130R. You can see him in there, the guys in the back in the foreground. Dane Oliver, Piers Pryor, Bradley Philippot. Oh, contact! Big contact! Adam Cater and Matt Browning is... Oh, Adam Cater tried to turn onto the racing line in front of Matt Browning. He wasn't clear and he got hit. We'll try and get a replay actually, because we kind of want to see that. We should have actually watched it on YouTube because the feed is slightly delayed, of course, from live. As that was definitely unusual from what we'd expect. And
Adam's a skilled racer as well.
Here we go. See, we've got some positions now. You can see Browning is still on the white line, and he comes across. Yes,
he comes across. Yeah,
that
was all.
Cater came across to take the racing line, who was not clear, and
I think
he made
probably
the
thought he
incident
was
happen.
past and decided that he needed a bit more width to keep the position. Yeah, so close, but that's
It's so obvious, though. It was really an obvious incident. We'll have a quick look now back at Oliver, Pryor, and Philippot and Woodwiss as this one's going on. And the gaps really haven't changed here. So Dane Oliver and Piers Pryor are still pulling away. Oh, another holding position. They've actually opened the gap to Bradley Philippot and Woodwiss. Woodwiss is holding on to the back of Philippot's coattails right now as he will push it very hard. His front four really moving now.
I think Philpott maybe had a moment somewhere last lap, that gap went out, but yeah, it's good to see the two downforce racing guys there, just nice and tidy and staying up the sharp end of the grid. I think Mr. Sanson not in this race himself, but seeing his two teammates doing well will make him very happy, and Scott's got to be pleased that he's being able to at least live with the pace of a real-life TCR racing.
Certainly is, and that will definitely make him feel a lot better as we head now down towards through 200R towards Spoon. That's the car of Scott Woodwiss we're looking at there. Piers Pryor now that second place. Dane Oliver ahead of him in the Golf. As just behind them it's Pryor, as we mentioned. Philippot's in the Audi, and it's the other Ford Focus of Scott Woodwiss with the white wheels there in fourth place. So very good points for downforce racing here, second and fourth. The same points they'll get, of course, as last round with the Spanners Ready team, who got Missed Apex team, who got second and fourth as well. So that'll be a benefit to those guys. As actually, I think it was in the first race of this grid was actually a 2 and a 4 for Missed Apex. Now it's 2 and a 4 for Downforce Radio. And as Missed Apex and Downforce work together, that's a bit of mirrored luck for them.
They do, and then there's the Spanners Ready team as well, so 3 from that same fraternity of racers and motorsport fanatics. So we got 9 cars on the grid here from those guys, and they're not doing too bad. We saw Piers get a little scruffy out of Spoon Curve just a few moments ago, but Philpott not capitalising on it. He's still P3.
Certainly is, and Dane Oliver holding on to this one. It's all very sideways there by, I think that's Jack Ashton, trying to make a move on the Civic of Sean King. Behind them, Adam Cater, of course, who had that moment as Jack Ashton climbing his way back up now. The gap is about 10 seconds to Scott Woodwiss in the back of the 1, 2, 3, 4 group. We'll have to see what's happening because the gaps are fairly close between Dane Oliver, Piers Pryor, Bradley Philippot and Scott Woodwiss, as Woodwiss actually dropped off the back of Philippot by 2 seconds, as it's 1.4 seconds between Dane Oliver, Piers Pryor and Bradley Philippot, so very close to the front on the final lap here. And this is very close. Can Philippot get in there? Can he close up? Or is this going to be Dane Oliver's chance? Of course, Dane Oliver here started in this race down in 11th. So he's made his way forward significantly. Scott Woodwiss actually started ahead of him, but he's finishing behind him in a moment. And Piers Pryor started in 7th, about halfway up this grid, and he's in second place. So fantastic movement from Piers, and of course from Dane and from Bradley Philippot. But big incidents, of course, helped the ball as he gets wide. Dane Oliver loses some speed going wide in the corner. Can Piers Pryor make a move? He looks to the outside. He'll have the racing line. Can he hold it around the outside in 130R? This is going to be a big one. Can Piers Pryor do this? This will be race-winning territory if he holds it around the outside.
Pick up the spoils.
Oh, they're both going to push wide. Oh, they push wide. Bradley Philippot will come through. What an amazing run by Bradley Philippot. Oh, as he runs up to the chicane in the Casio Triangle, contact. 2 cars wreck, and through will come Piers Pryor to go in the race in the final corner. Could we predict that, Lewis? Philippot and Oliver contact in the Casio Triangle as Philippot takes advantage of Pryor and Oliver getting into contact with 130R. Somehow Philippot gets through, then he runs off the chicane and then just goes across the chicane in the Casio Triangle.
We're going to have to rewatch
takes out Oliver,
that one.
and through comes Piers Pryor.
We're going to have to
did
rewatch
not
that one.
see that coming.
How did that come about? That last.
I did not see that coming, Lewis.
Philpott was definitely looking to capitalise on any potential collision, and it looked like he had it, but he outbraked himself into the Casio Triangle, and it'll be interesting to see how they come through that last sequence. We're just rewatching it now as it's a little bit delayed for us on our YouTube feed as well, so we get the 2 screens, and that allows us to come back to it. And at the moment on the live screen, we're seeing Scott Woodwiss parked on the grass. But this is that run there down towards 130R. Pryor on the outside, and Dane Oliver. He'd already got passed by the corner in terms of pure track position, but he had the outside.
He wasn't
of the
quite
bend.
past, I think. He was still overlapping somewhat, but you saw there.
Philpott comes
Dane Oliver
through.
got through, and Philpott took advantage. And he tried to. He came in tight to defend the inside line, and he just cooked the entry. Came and hopped the curbs. Oh, that was what it was. He hopped the curbs and he hit Dane Oliver. And through comes Pryor. Could we even script that? That was insane in terms of finishes. Hopefully we'll get a chance to chat to.
And it didn't hurt Philpott too much, and Wood was picking up the final spot on the podium.
Well, we'll see if there's any penalties for this, of course.
Yeah,
that could be a critical point, but we'll hopefully get a chance to chat to Piers Pryor now as a double podium for Downforce Racing, which was absolutely fantastic for those guys in this one, as a brilliant finish for them. So we'll get a chance to chat to Piers Pryor now. Piers, I can't quite understand what happened in those final few corners.
Neither can I.
You tried to make the move on Dane Oliver, and you got past him. Then you both ran off. Bradley Philpott came through, took out Dane Oliver in something, reminiscent of Maldonado at Valencia, and you just came sailing through to take the win.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've probably seen more than I have, so I'll have to watch it back later to see what happened and it all unfold. But I got basically Dean.
We'll show you a replay.
Yeah, show me a replay. Like, that would be awesome. If you got a replay, that would be on.
Get this for you.
That would be awesome. It's about 3 minutes ago.
It for you.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, this is going into the spoon here.
We'll accelerate that's you coming out the final
bit
corner.
too far now, yeah.
So we'll come back and here
we go.
We'll go back to.
We'll go from here. So basically, at this point,
hairpin.
Brad Philpott's been catching me. I think that's Brad, isn't it, behind me? Yeah, he's been catching me for a couple of laps. He's a little bit quicker, and Dean is coming towards us as well. So it's all closing up. And I thought, right, I'm just gonna. I had a bad race one. Second place is fine. So I was thinking about just holding Brad behind me. I wasn't really worried about it. I was second place is fine. But then we're probably about to cut to if we're moment here. Right, okay, so we're going into the spoon here. Dean goes a bit wide. I think he touched the curb on braking, or he just gets a bit sideways going through the second half of the spoon. I thought I've got quite a good exit. I'll see if I can get to the inside. He covers the inside and then comes across. And at this point, I knew we were going to end up going side by side into 130R, which is never something you want to do. But yeah, so I had quite a nice run. But as soon as he got side by side, he sort of got the slipstream from my rear quarter. So I knew he wasn't gonna give up. So I thought I'll just run wide and hopefully we'll make it through. And then Brad comes and steals both, and I saw them both brake so late that I just cut back so far. It cut back, and I went underneath them both. Somehow didn't get caught up, and it was a very lucky win.
We were told before the races that. If you are braking it, the 110 board is kind of the latest you want to brake for the Casio Triangle. But if you brake at the 105, you're pretty much going wide, and they braked at about 50. So
yeah, they braked about 50. I was just, at that point, I was lost both places. So I thought, all right, they're either going to take each other out and going to come third, which is still fine. So I was sitting there waiting to see what happened. But
the viewers at home couldn't see that replay. That was being shown just to Piers Pryor here on one of our monitors, the race winner. But we have been joined very briefly. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. That was an awesome race.
We are just going to pass the microphone to the third place finisher, Scott Woodwist of Downforce Radio, as he snuck through on everybody else.
You had no idea I finished third.
Wait, so we both
we
won 2. Just 1-2.
Oh, it's a 1-2 for Downforce Radio. As news just in, Brad Philpott actually taking a penalty for that one, so he drops down to 4th or 5th. Scott, second place now. You snuck through the incident, but now you're in second place. It's a 1-2.
That's awesome. I mean, the great thing is that because I was staying there for a little bit, and then there was a couple of times where I sort of got a little bit loose into spoon cone. I thought, that's it, I'm not going to catch them. So then watching this happen in front of me, I was actually physically saying, come on, Piers, you can get it, you can try and make the move. And I could just hear in the background what was going on, and all of a sudden I get to the chicane, and Dane's spun and Bradley's rejoining, and I'm thinking potentially I can get a chance to sneak past and get second, but he managed to get through all there. But yeah, the fact that that's only I have a second ever race as a proper racing team with the touring cars, and we've got a 1-2, that's pretty awesome. And
well, a fantastic result from you, Scott Wood, was taking in a points-based second after a fractious end to round number 5. But what's coming up next is your teammate Jake Sanson starting on pole in round number 6. Are we going to see a repeat of the apocalypse that was the start of round number 5?
Well, the disappointing thing was that when they actually went to restart the race, I was third into turn 1 from 10th on the grid. So that was the downside to it. But I think, to be fair, I managed to pick my way through and do a pretty decent job from the start. So hopefully Jake can do the same. He managed to put a bit of confidence in that first race. He went from 13th to 7th, and he kept his nose clean and had 1 or 2 mistakes, but he's getting quicker lap by lap. So the fact he's starting from pole, it's going to be tricky. He just needs a good start and just literally run his own race. And hopefully, if it all works out, he can try and get a decent one. But fingers crossed, I'll be watching over his shoulder and seeing how he gets on.
Fantastic, and thank you very much for joining us, Scott Woodwis. Well, before round number 6 kicks off, we're going to have a quick rundown to annoy your pole sitter for race number 6. We're going to pop around and try and find the man himself, El Capitan of Downforce Racing. We'll see if we can find him. He should be in his pod, ready to start the race, and we are actually joining him live here on the starting. It's Jake Sands. Have a quick word with us on the grid.
Yeah, looking relatively relaxed about this one now that we've got our first win in the bag, so it doesn't really matter too much what the fat bloke does from pole position.
Of course, starting on pole position here in front of a field of 13 cars. Are you scared?
Absolutely terrified, but I got a decent lap time out of the first race, so all I have to do basically is just stay smooth. I hope I don't get too much of a check into the first corner. I've just got to basically get on with my job and see what happens.
Go fast, turn left, turn left, turn left, then turn right, left, right, left, right, left, and hope you don't hit anything, yes?
The hope is not so much a hope, more of a pipe dream.
Well, hopefully the pipe dream ends up with Mario Kart, as you were mentioning before the race, and you have been practicing on Rainbow Road, I heard you say a minute ago. So anyway, good luck, Jake. We'll let you go. Congratulations on pole. Well, that's Jake Sanson starting on pole from Downforce Racing Team after their 1-2 in round number 5. Fantastic result for them, and we'll be heading to the grid now for round number 6. Lewis is back with us in the booth, as we've just been pestering Jake Sanson on the broadcast. Lewis, round number 6 is starting. We're on the grid now for this one. Of course, we mentioned it is Jake Sanson, Matthew West, Ash McCallum, Andrew Fellows, with Alex Van Geen, Russell Edwards, Conor Marsh, David Goodway, Josh Badwell, Colin Talbot, and Carl Chard, Callum Cripps in those spots. Lights will start to come on now. Final one of our qualifying races here, Lewis. Lights are about to come on. Round number 6 of the Srtcc 2017 season at number 3 about to get underway. The lights come on. Can Jake Sanson do it from the pole? Green flag is out, we're racing, and it's a slow start. He looked like he stalled on the grid. Oh, Sanson with incident starting, and the entire field killed once again in round number 6, as those who came to watch the wrecks are getting that, as yellow flag is out. I think they're calling for another restart, and I think it might require it after that one, Lewis.
I'd let them get on with it. You shunt, you pay the price.
Well, I think they are letting it carry on, actually. People cry for a restart, but it's not happening, as Sanson's still in 3rd place after that bad start there. Matthew West leading from Andrew Fellows. Callum Cripps up to 3rd. Impressive, he started last.
Yeah.
Callum Cripps is actually right on top of these guys.
Pure racer, having the instinct to stay out of trouble, and that's what Callum does, and that's what Brad done in the last race. And, Philpott taking a penalty. I think that one might be a bit controversial and will be discussed for time to come. But there we are. Fellows going wide. Is that going to give Cripps the gap he needs to get through with the greater speed coming down into this hairpin?
It certainly is. And Matthew West, Andrew Fellows, Callum Cripps doing what they can up front right now. Callum Cripps starting from the back. He's up to 3rd now, and we'll see what he can do, of course. Colin Talbot, we'll have to keep an eye out for what he does in this one. Will we see the Talbot shuffle going on at some point?
Quite possibly, and it's going to be interesting with Andrew Fellows here as well, because he's not making it easy on Callum Cripps. Every time Callum gets alongside, he's moving around a bit, so we'll see if that comes to
up the inside goes Callum Cripps with a very big move there on Andrew Fellows, gets him through to 2nd place, catching right up to Matthew West. And just to actually answer one of the questions in the YouTube chat, Lewis, that no, this isn't a joke series, but it is touring car racing, and while touring car racing can sometimes be a little fractious, it is also the first race for these guys in these cars. They're new cars, new series, and it's always going to be a little bumpy, but yes, the endurance racing is light years.
It is, and
better than
I
this,
think
but this isn't bad per se, it's just touring car racing.
Yeah,
and
I
think
what we need to point out as well is that, as we see Callum Cripps take the lead there, is that in the endurance races we have full damage turned on as well. In a full lap race, if you had damage in touring cars, well, you'd have one finisher.
Finish. Well, 1 or 3, yeah.
Yeah.
We must point out, though, have a look at any other sim touring car league you'll ever find ever, including the very biggest sim touring car leagues. And flipping cars is somewhat more the normal than the not. But, these guys are taking it seriously. The final, I think, will be a completely different ball game. We aren't talking a reverse grid for that one. But it's going to be a very different ballgame in terms of the competition level. There is a big spread of talent in these races, and when you put slower drivers on pole in reverse grids, it's always going to make things a little busier on the start. But Callum Cripps through to the front actually there, as we saw that one. It was Carl Chard going off the track as Colin Talbot to 4th place here Alex Van Gien in 6th place. Callum Cripps, the leader. You got past Matthew West. There's Andrew Fellows and Carl Chard, Colin Talbot, Alex Van Gien, Conor Marsh.
Yeah, it's I can't help but come back to those guys. Minecraft Let's Build. This film seems better. Hopefully it is. It looks tidier. I think that's because the level of talent is much more closely packed. There might be one or two fast guys, but these guys seem to be closer in pace. Maybe that's just the algorithm for working out the grids better. But we'll see from round 2 next month. The grids will be based on championship position. So that will be some real close, some even closer racing. And Minecraft Let's Build, come drive the 24-hour race. It's as we said, they've got the damage, and people are a lot more sensible about things because it's 24 hours.
Let's also remember though, Lewis, that these positions for starting were also somewhat reverse grid because they were based on championship positions last season in a different car.
Yes.
And
in a
different real-wheel drive car last season, different handling,
horsepower.
half the power. So their championship points were based on their performance in a different car. They're being thrust into a car they've really not driven before, and let's be fair, they've had maybe a maximum of half an hour of practice each in these things before this race. They're doing a damn impressive job considering they've not had the time in the seats, and they're doing their best here. Car goes off. That's Carl Chard, I think, had a bit of a love affair with the barrier. The Srtcc triangle onto lap number 2. It's Callum Cripps, Matthew West, Andrew Fellows, Carl Chard, Colin Talbot, and a very active round number 6.
Isn't it just? It's one of those ones. Yeah, touring car racing's great, isn't it? I mean, we're seeing Callum Cripps really gapping the field there and just showing his class. But it's as they say in stock car racing in the States as well, Robbins racing, and maybe there's a bit too much of it, but it's all fun. And the point of this series is that anyone can race this. You don't have to be a professional driver. You just have to say, I want to come and join in. And so that's why we have this spread of talent across the field that we have, and people will get more orderly as the year goes on and they get more time in the car.
It is that, and we do sound like we're trying to defend things here, but I think we really need to justify how big a leap of difference this has been for these guys and how different this race is for the series and for progression. But like you say, it's going to settle out and we'll see these races improving quality and consistency. It's also a fairly difficult track to pass on, so we're seeing some very close stuff there. Speaking of close, that was Carl Chard and Colin Talbot getting very shifty, as that's actually Alex Van Gien we're looking at there as he comes round for a spot, as these guys getting very, very racy down here in the mid-pack.
And I think that was Conor Marsh in the NKL car coming through Digna 1, just held the slide there where he was pushed a little bit wide, but he managed to keep hold of the car and keep it on the island, and that's when you see an element of these guys starting to learn the cars. Maybe in his first race he wouldn't have caught that, and now he has, and it's learning. It's a completely different beast to go from driving rear-wheel drive to front-wheel drive, and you have to reprogram everything you know about racing. Yeah,
let's not forget some of these guys have, all side contact Alex Van Gien, Russell Edwards, as they're getting very, very excited. Some of these guys, of course, have done lots of sim racing at home with their own setups, and this is, of course, not exactly something the way they like. It's not a setup they'd like. It's a fixed setup, essentially, for all the cars. Yep. And, they're on triples here. Fantastic setup. Thrustmaster T300 wheels, triple 27-inch screens. This is a really impressive setup these guys are able to race on. And we'll have a look. We're being corrected. Oh, they're 40-inch screens, sorry. I was underestimating the size of those screens. In fact, the one we were commentating on is 27. That's probably why I got confused, but 40-inch screens. They're basically 3 TVs you're driving in. That's car window-sized view range, so it's hugely impressive for these guys. Callum Cripps cleared off at the front. He's 10 seconds clear of Carl Chard in second place. Andrew Fellows in third. Second back from him, Matthew West. This has settled into a very sedate race after we got a couple of laps down and the initial Armageddon has been dealt with. It's really filtered itself through. And we're looking at lap times really playing with this one. Callum Cripps going to be on very good points, winning both his races here.
Yeah, he's done really well for the racetuition.com team, and he's just put in 2 really solid performances, and that's absolutely everything you'd expect from Callum. He's one of those guys that knows how to race, knows how to keep it on the island, and knows how to pick a pass and when to just bide his time. And we saw that through lap 1, even when he was racing with Andrew Fellows. He was having a look every now and again, but if he thought there was contacting.
Speaking of contact there, Colin Talbot getting very racy with Matthew West. Bit of bumper rubbing.
Yeah, he's a bit of a weapon, isn't he, at times? But he's a lovely guy, is Colin. It's it's teething. Let's call it teething, and it's teething issues. But he'll get on it, and he's.
I must admit, it's kind of teething issues for me in the commentary box here today. My first time with this series, and it's been a fantastic evening so far. Racing's been great. There's been some explosions, some flipping cars, but side by side there between that is, I think, Colin Fallows and Colin Talbot, Andrew
Colin
Fellows. That was very
Matthew
hairy.
West.
No, you're right. Actually, it was Matthew West as he drops down the order a little bit, and some fantastic side-by-side rating. But like I say, I am new to this series, so yes, I apologise. I misguessed the size of 27-inch screens for the 40 ones. They actually are. I thought they looked bigger than those, but I was thinking they're not 24s. They must be 27s, and I was wrong. But yeah. They're actually quite a distance away from me. I can't quite see them as well as I'd like, so that's my defence. But as Callum Cripps still leading now, coming into the final corner for him, he's actually come across the line. Callum Cripps the victory here in round number 6. Carl Chard comes across the line. Andrew Fellows, Colin Talbot. Oh, Carl Chard goes down the order. He's dropped out. Oh, Carl Chard slipped down. I'm not sure what's happened here. He's crashed, I think.
I'm gonna
Andrew Fellows moves up to second, Colin Talbot third, Conor Marsh in fourth, Josh Banwell, Russ Edwards, Carl Chard in 7th place, and he's had an incident. I think he's had a big problem. We'll have to find out what happened to him.
Looks like it, and I would like to have a chat with race direction, see what's happening with Colin there.
We'll have a quick chat with
he's
Bradley
taken a couple of shots.
Bradley, what happened with Carl Chard there? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know. What happened with Carl?
Well, he was running second. He's dropped down the order now to about 7th suddenly on the final corner.
Oh, I have no idea. I didn't see any of that. So, sorry, I was watching my teammate win and get a faster lap than the other driver that's had 2 wins and hopefully take pole position for the grand final.
Well, there you go. Whilst we've got you here, we'll have a quick word. Race number 5. Can we talk about that Casio triangle?
Yes.
What happened?
So I saw the guys in front have a bit of a tussle. They went wide, obviously, as it looked like they were about to do. So I got in front. I then tried to defend because I thought maybe someone would throw one back up the inside into the last corner. Obviously braking on the dirt and trying to brake late, I ran a little bit wide.
I think it was you that told me before the race started, when we were having the practice sessions, that you brake at the 110 mark.
It doesn't
you'll
help when
make
someone's
it.
taken
Brake
up
at 105, you won't, and you braked at about 40, maybe.
Oh no, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that. I was offline, and I still nearly made the corner. But the main problem was those massive sausage curbs on the inside. So I hit a sausage curb, went up in the air, and then got a penalty for unsafe rejoin, even though I wasn't trying to rejoin. But my teammate's here to talk to you about his brilliant win.
Rejoin. Well, thank you very much for he's escaping there, Bradley Philpott. But we are joined by Callum Cripps. Callum, another win for you. Somehow avoiding the carnage that was the start of that one, and you filtered through from the back to the win again.
It was quite. It was really hectic at the start. Again, somebody just 2 people ended up colliding on the main straight just a few hundred meters after we started. Just picked off a few places, and then I don't know what happened behind, but I ended up with a 12-second lead or something like that.
And then what happened behind you.
And then, it sounds like it. And then literally I was just going for pole because I knew Brad told me that the time was 2-minute 10.3. So and we came across along with 2-minute 10.305. So 5 thousandths in it isn't too bad. So we got pole for final and looking forward to it now.
Fantastic result. Well, congratulations, Callum Cripps. Pole for the final with the most points so far gained in all of the races so far. So that's our 6 rounds over. Thanks for joining us, Callum. And 6 rounds down. On to that's our qualifying rounds done. We're going to take a very short break, and we'll be back with the final. Welcome back, folks. We're back live here again with the first of our final 6-lap finals here. First up will be the C final, the third of the finals. Then we'll go to the B final, which is the top, basically with 45 drivers. We go for our bottom 15, then the next 15, then the top 15 in points. So starting on pole in our C final, Jake Sanson with Alex Van Gien beside him. Joel Bryce, Richard Leeson with us flipped around, so that's not the way it is. Alex Van Gien, Joel Bryce, Richard Leeson, Grant Lyman, Shamet Goldek, David Goodway, and we have Matthew West, Ash McCallum, Richard Reddy, Matt Browning, Stephen Williams, Jake Sanson, and Ryan Ferris. So this will be going to the grid in just a few moments' time, and drivers are being called on to the grid, ready to kick off for this one. And Luke, you're back with me in the booth, and we actually have been joined by Scott Woodward for a quick second. He's not in this race, but we're going to get a few words from Scott coming up in this C final. What are you expecting?
It's going to be a tricky one. I think that guys like Alex Van Gien, who are very experienced, they're very rapid drivers indeed. Alex should be a pretty decent threat. I think that
C final. What are you expecting?
Tricky as well. Tricky one. I think that they're in the A for Alex Van Gien, who are very experienced. It's a bit of drivers indeed. Alex should be the fact a pretty decent threat. Top three. I think that
C final.
So there's the first time someone that were racing against other guys, they've only ever seen them on the screen. So, and if they have raced them before, it won't have been for quite a while. So they've got to just be very tentative again into turn one. Some of them sometimes don't necessarily behave the way we'd like them to, but that's just the fact they've got a position in the B final on the line is going to really focus their minds and not push them too hard. So it should be intriguing, and the guys at the back of the field hopefully will have a better view of what goes on into turn one. And if there are any shenanigans, they'll just take full advantage and make up places as some of them have done. The B final on the line is going to really focus their minds and not push them too hard. So
well, they certainly will, and thanks for joining us, Scott. Thanks for that insight, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. We are going to get ready for this one, and the order has changed yet again, so we'll see if this is actually the starting order this time. Well, they certainly will, and thanks for joining us, Scott. Thanks for that insight.
I think the changes are ongoing.
Right, changes are ongoing, folks. So we'll bring you what we know when we know it. So we'll see if this is actually starting. This is still changing a little bit, so we'll still kind of. I think Van Gien is out at this one, so
changes are ongoing.
it is at the moment Sanson, Bryce, Leeson, Lyman, and Goldex. So, Lewis, the C final. Is this going to be, you know, the Wacky Racers event of our three finals?
I think we might be getting somewhere close to that, because I've been informed by Race Direction that there will not be 15 in this. The person that would have been P1's been elevated to the B final in an effort to keep a pod clear because of the contentious moments that we're having on track. And they just want to make sure that they can check everything over and take a look at any collisions and be super correct on those. So
well, we are.
Steps being taken to make sure that they can review things properly.
We're on the grid. It's lights about to go on. It's Matt Gooder, Scott, Jake Sanson, David Goodway, Shamet Goldek, and we also have Stephen Williams, Ryan Ferris, Richard Leeson, Joel Bryce, Grant Lyman, and also Matt Browning, Matthew West, Richard Reddy, Ash McCallum, Steve Roberts. 14 cars for final number C. Well, final C, final number 3, I guess. I can't say number C, that's not English. But lights go on the gantry as they'll be ready to kick off final 3. Lights go out, and we're racing here at Suzuka. And it's a better start for Jake Sanson this time as he's side by side with your leader, Matt Goodyear Scott. Jake Sanson elbows his way to the front. The El Capitan of Downforce Racing there, pushing his way to the very front as well as he runs wide and completely bins it, as what was a spectacular start to the race has just been thrown into the gutter by Sanson. We've still got Scott Woodward here. Quick word from you, Scott. What the hell was that?
Well, I credit him for a really good start, and then just sort of went a little bit too deep into the corner by the looks of things. He's got a bit of a battle in front with two of the Hondas in front of him, and also David Goodway trying to get around the outside to keep looking at his mirrors. But he's keeping himself in the pack, and I think if he keeps himself out of trouble, he should be okay. He's got to the first couple of corners, he's got away unscathed, he can settle down into a rhythm, and then he'll keep on improving as he has done over the weekend.
Certainly will, and Lewis, Matt Goodyear Scott up to the pole for this one. Shamek Goldek in second, Leeson, and then Ferris. It's very busy at the front here as these guys are all over each other at the moment, running down to the hairpin for the first time, and Goodyear Scott's looking like he's under threat.
Yeah, Shamak taking a look up the inside there. That's the third of the Ashton's Purple Helmets team, and we know they're racy. He's not had a great first heat, which is why he's down in the C final. Probably ordinarily a B final runner, but the top two here getting promoted to the B final today. And if these guys just keep their noses clean, then we'll see them on the back of the grid for the next race.
We certainly could, and as we said, it's a tight one at the front. Sideways goes Shamak Goldek. Sanson holding off another drifter behind him. It's Japan's influence is very strong in this first race, as everyone seems to be getting their back ends out and sliding in clouds of smoke. I really wasn't expecting this much drifting. I thought it was touring car racing.
Yeah, it's all good fun. You can have a nice bit of lift off in any corner, can get you a bit sideways, and that's.
Well, it's certainly interesting as we're getting a bit of feedback from the microphones, in the speakers, I should say, PA system in this venue. Let's not forget this is a live event. We are actually here with all these guys in their sim rigs, so a fantastic twist for sim racing to see this sort of thing happening. And after lap number 1 of 6, it is Matt Goodyear Scott leading the way. Richard Leeson, Shamak Goldek, Jake Sanson up to 4th place now. He's recovered that spot. Very close there for 2nd and 3rd. Richard Leeson getting past Shamak Goldek. And Goldek, he's trying to come back. I think that's the Purple Helmets team. As he's trying to get that car up towards Leeson. But Leeson holding on here as once again Sanson flies off the track like an errant house brick.
I was about to say 4 cars from different manufacturers in the top 4, but I think Sanson launching it off the road means that's 3 from 3. We're watching him now, but we can certainly hear him across the room.
I think we're hearing yelling in the background. That was the gosh damn it you heard in the background there, possibly bellowed in what's quite a Cheshire accent, was actually Jake Sanson, not impressed with his ineptitude, as he will drop down the order considerably now to 9th spot after being a bit of a plonker. Matt Goodyear Scott, Richard Easton, Shamak Goldek, Ryan Ferris, Richard Goodway, Joel Bryce, Rand Lyman, Matt Browning, Jake Sanson, Stephen Williams, Steve Roberts, Ash McCallum, Richard Reddy and Matthew West, your running order. We'll have a bit of a look back at what's going on with Grant Lyman and Matt Browning. Our 7th and 8th positions there. As they're getting very close in the hairpin. It's up the inside. All contact from Jake. That's not Jake Sanson. No, that's Matt Browning, I think.
Yeah,
that's Matt Browning with the contact
in
on
the Luke Browning Racing Astra.
What I think was Steve Roberts. I think Grant Lyman. Sorry, he hit Grant Lyman. It's one way to pass, racing. But that is Sanson moving up a spot again. As Browning likely to have a penalty here, so could be another spot. But Jake Sanson flies around the outside of Spoon, going off the track again. As he nearly made a heroic pass there. 10-second penalty for Matt Browning, instantly given by the stewards. They are not putting up with that behaviour. So Sanson might have a run here on him. He might get to the inside. Running up towards 130R, not going to do it. He'll tuck back in line as this has definitely got hairy. Jake Sanson.
I don't think he knows where the apex was there.
Yes, it's a good job he's not on the Mr. Apex team. Oh my gosh, in front of them, that was okay. Jake's got off as well. I think that was Joel Bryce taking part in, I think, some sort of Need for Speed event.
It was impressive, but I think what that demonstrated is that there is no way through at the Casio Triangle without hitting a sausage curb. It doesn't matter if you come straight back on or you try and run through the extra chicane, you hit a sausage curb, the car goes in the air. So if we reflect back on earlier incidents, I think we can now see that some drivers really had no choice but to launch now or launch later.
As Scott Wood was just pointed out, this is more like watching Stadium Super Trucks, and this is definitely our comedy final. With the bottom 14 drivers in the series, as you get to see some truly interesting sim racing we don't normally have on broadcast races. But you know what? This is fantastic fun to watch as we get a bit of light entertainment before things get serious in the B and the A finals. But still Matt Goodyear Scott leading by about 1.6 seconds from Richard Leeson. Shamak Goldek in 3rd spot with Ryan Ferris, David Goodway, Matt Browning, Joel Bryce, Jake Sanson in 8th place. As we're on the car hood there of Shamak Goldek. He's up in 3rd spot, chasing down Richard Leeson. Up ahead of him, Matt Goodyear Scott could just be seen in the distance there. So top 3 very close in this one on lap number 2 here, heading on to 3 this time by. So approaching the halfway point, and it's been very active so far, Lewis. At the moment, looking like a potential move here from Shamak Goldek, but behind him, big gap there. It's about 8 seconds. So these guys really have the race to themselves. It's Leeson drifting as well. Someone's got to tell these guys at some point, this isn't good for the tyres.
It really isn't, and this is going to give Shamak the run going towards 130R. He's going outside, which will give him the preferential line if he's able to get all the way past. But, you know, knowing these guys, this could be another collision. Oh, round the outside of 130R. That's a brave move, but Leeson may be coming back here for the chicane. Glodek goes defensive. Glodek almost overshoots the corner.
Big hit there on the sausage curbs there for Richard Leeson. Oh, as he hops over concrete blocks onto the gravel trap and tries to Kimi Räikkönen his way out of the wrong road. But those sausage curbs are definitely causing the stadium super truck action. Scott, I mean, there's this bouncy action.
It's bounce is one word to describe it. I think these guys are testing the limits of the Suzuka circuit, and it's interesting to see some of the lines people are taking. But people are coping. It seems to be an entertaining race so far, and people are steadily finding their feet. There's a good battle going on here. We've got between now Leeson with Ferris and Goodway in the mix. This is over the final podium spot. Remember, this is actually for the final promotion spot into the B final. We've got 12 cars confirmed. Whoever finishes in the top three is two spots to go up. Is it okay? So it's whoever's in the top two, which means that effectively it's kind of best of the rest, battle of a third now between these three. And Leeson can try and hold on as this. I think Glodek's actually taking the lead, it seems.
A crash there. That's Matt Goodger-Scott has lost his car in that running through the S's there. Big incident for Matt Goodger-Scott. We'll see if we can replay what just happened to him, but that's changed things drastically as he was leading fairly comfortably.
Yeah,
and had a bit of an incident, Lewis.
Yeah, and we could tell that something had happened for the Purple Helmets guys as their chorus of followers erupted into applause there across the room. So it's easy to point out when something's going right or wrong for those guys because they're quite vocal, bless them.
They certainly are, and change for third as well. David Goodway moving up from Ryan Ferris as Shamak Goldick taking the lead here in final C, which at least in second, so those two could promote if this goes their way. Behind them is David Goodway, Ryan Ferris, Matt Goodger-Scott down to fifth. Sixth place is Matt Browning, Jake Sanson in seventh, so he's moved forward from where he expected to be. And it is the Audi TT of that is David Goodway we're looking at the moment, the blue Audi. Ahead of him that's Richard Leeson there in the Honda Civic we're seeing. It's definitely become a very lively race.
Yeah, and we're seeing Ryan Ferris, another one of our co-commentators over on the Downforce podcast. He's doing driving duty for the Missed Apex guys this weekend. As we see David Goodway running a bit wide through 130R. Possibly going to pick up a penalty for that. When you do that too many times, I think it's automatic 10-second time added to your race finish time. So we'll see what happens there post race.
Certainly will, as we are now on lap number 5 of 6 as we cross the line, and 2 laps remaining in this one tonight for our C final. Things have certainly been on the interesting side. Shamak Goldick leading the way here. Leeson in second place. David Goodway in third. Ryan Ferris in fourth. Matt Goodger-Scott recovering from fifth place. He's working his way forwards. We're looking at him now as he's working on the back end there of Ryan Ferris. As can he wheel his way around Ferris as he's going to try for it? As
that was Richard Leeson there off
Leeson's
at the
lost it as well.
So
Leeson drops down. Goodway up to second place now. This is a battle for the promotion spot between Goodger-Scott and he gets past him. Oh, big move there by Goodger-Scott as he works there, and that's Ryan Ferris moving up to third spot. Up ahead of him, that's David Goodway, so he has a chance here to get his way into the B final.
Yeah, a lap and a half to go, and we know Matt's racy. I've spent some time, as we say that, he throws it off the road, so maybe not. We know he's racy from last year. Oh, Goodway clipping the barrier as well there, so maybe Degner 2's a bit of a problem for some of these guys. Yeah, Matt's a fast racer, but sometimes has a habit of chucking it off the island. So we'll see if he can close down David Goodway in that Audi TT.
We certainly will, as it is Shamak Goldick leading now. David Goodway second. Matt Goodger-Scott working on catching up to David Goodway to get himself a promotion into the B final for this one. We'll have an update on Jake Sanson, Downforce captain, running down in 7th place at the moment. He is not looking like he's going to be catching anyone at the moment. The gap's too big. Got 5 seconds in front of him, and then it's 3 seconds to Richard Leeson. So unless any mistakes, he will not move forwards. We've got some close racing at the moment in I think, between Goodyear Scott and Ferris. Ferris is catching Goodyear Scott. And we also have action brewing, really, between Leeson and Browning. They're going to get closer and closer and closer as they're both getting together. Lewis, this one's really kind of quietened down now from our very bouncy beginning.
It's settled down as the guys have got into their race, but we're watching now the start of the final lap, and Goodyear Scott still chasing down Goodway, and Ferris keeping both of those guys honest. So perhaps we'll see some action towards the end of the lap. We know how quickly Matt can circulate here, but it's another one of those laps like last, and he'll fall further behind. So it's a really interesting close to the race, but potentially.
Certainly is, and Shamak Goldeck up there doing a fantastic job on the final lap here at Suzuka for a final C. Shamak Goldeck with David Goodway, Matt Goodyear Scott, Ryan Ferris, Richard Leeson. The action's been very exciting, but one lap. Can Goodyear Scott catch Goodway, and can he break himself into that B final? This is what he wants to see here. Has he got the chance to catch up to that Audi TT of David Goodway? And can he make a difference in this one? Can he promote himself to the next final? Or will Goodway hold on? Goodyear Scott had been doing so well, Lewis. Has he got a chance?
Well, he was 3 seconds behind at this point 1 lap ago, and now he's 1.25. So potentially this second half of the lap is where he comes good, and we'll see. Just David Goodway breaking a little deep there into the hairpin, but Matt Goodyear Scott getting a bit too much steering angle on there. So both of them making mistakes. We'll see how they come out of 200R and into Spoon Curve, because that's going to be the thing that sets up the finale here.
Certainly is, as we head now down to Spoon Curve. Shamak Goldeck going to have a very easy time of things. A good gap between him and David Goodway, as this is really the big battle we're interested in. Goodway and Goodyear Scott. Who will come good out of the two goods? That's terrible, but what the hell? It's not going to be close enough. David Goodway has a good gap to Goodyear Scott, so unless he makes a mistake now, he pretty much secures his promotion spot into the B final through 1:30 for the final time, and he doesn't make a big mistake as it gets the gap down to himself and Goodyear Scott, but closing in the braking zone. Big attempt by Goodyear Scott. Can he do it? Can he do it? Can he do it? He's overcooked it. He's hit him. Oh, contact. I think, however, Goodyear Scott might be okay. That did not look like his fault in that moment.
It looked like the guy had really stopped on the curb, and he had nowhere to go.
He had run off the track, and it was an unsafe re-entry almost for David Goodway. So he was kind of off the track, and as it's counted, I think, as he might have lost the spot again. Post-race contact between Goodway and Browning there, as that livens things up. But what's your take on that final lap incident between Goodyear Scott and Goodway? Goodyear Scott.
There's so many goods and Scots here, I can't even tell. It was a tricky one. I think effectively it was sort of something really of David's own making, to all due respect. He sort of went a little bit too deep into the corner, and Matt took his right as long as he had the right to do. And I think David trying to rejoin, effectively parked his car on the apex a little bit too much. He kind of left Matt a little bit nowhere to go. And I'm pretty. If that was me looking at that as a steward, I would look at the fact that was David Goodway rejoining. Yes, Matt would have seen it, but effectively the angle that David was taking didn't really leave Matt very much room to go or time to react. So there was going to be, I think, there was always going to be contact. And I think, to be fair, I think Matt, in my opinion, should keep the second place. I think it's an unfortunate set of circumstances, but I would call it as a racing incident because even though there was contact, it didn't give Matt much time to chance to react. So.
Yeah, we certainly would, Scott, as things got very loud here all of a sudden at Simply Race. But a very exciting finale to our C final. We'll be back in a few minutes for the B final. So stick with us and we'll be back. Actually, no, we are back almost immediately as we've returned immediately now to this one. And, well, fantastic result from you there. Pretty easy one, in fact, at the end. It was a very quiet end to your race.
Yeah,
you took the lead, and then things were fairly clean for you. So, promoted to the B final. Happy?
Yeah, really happy. Over the moon. Yeah, first race of the season, not doing so bad. The last two races came, I think, 7th and 11th penalty. But yeah, happy with the result now. Bit of a dodgy start, but yeah, end up really good.
Awesome, well, absolutely fantastic for you. Promoted to the B final, of course. Are you perhaps expectant of a good result in there? Do you think you can really push it with these guys?
Just don't spin, really. I'm just looking. Just finish the race, bring it home. Top 10, hopefully.
Well, hopefully for a top 10 there for Shannon Goldick. So congratulations on winning in C final, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Well, interview there with Shannon Goldick from the C final race winner. Controversy towards the end there with, of course, the two good drivers, as I guess we're calling them at the moment. I believe in that one was Goodway and Goodyear Scott. So things didn't come good in the end, Lewis.
No, not so much, but what we have is confirmation, I think, from race control that there will be no penalty applied for the Casio triangle.
Kind of sorted itself out in the end, where he lost that many spots.
As much as that one in reverse race 2 was, there was a penalty applied for that one. This one slightly different, but similar scenario. Bouncing across the curbs, nothing you could do. And having spoken to the drivers, I think it was Goodway. He said he ended up keeping it in first gear, missed a gear, and it slowed him down on the apex. So he's almost admitted fault there.
Certainly has. So that'll be the C final under wraps. On to the B final next, and we'll see what, of course, will happen in this one. It's going to get busy in our next two ones, Lewis. Of course, there's we've got the faster drivers now. This is going to become some very hectic racing.
Yeah, and this grid, I think, is going to be one of the feistier ones, because if you get to the A final, obviously you're in with a shout, and anyone can get on the podium. We saw that at round 9 of season 2, was that Luke Austin started back of the B final, ended up finishing 3rd in the A final. So it's anyone's race to win, and these guys are squabbling over 2 or 3. Yeah. So, just confirmation from race control there. Matt Goodyear Scott progresses, no penalties applied for that Casio triangle incident.
It's fantastic to hear for those guys, and that will make things very interesting, of course, heading on to the B final now. We should have those positions up for you in a moment, as we do. I'm not sure if this is the exact order for it starting yet. It's not our starting order, so don't pay attention to that. We will get that starting order for you in just a moment's time, and we'll find out what's happening, although Goodyear Scott will make it into this final. We'll head onto the grid in a few seconds' time. We'll run through your starting grid for the B final tonight, and we'll have that information available for you. Well, we have our starting grid for the B final, and we have top 3 will promote him to the A final from the B final, and it's Russell Edwards starting on pole for us tonight, with Sean King in 2nd, Conor Marsh in 3rd, Adam Cator in 4th, Luke Browning 5th, Mike Scott, Will Murphin, and my screen has just switched off, which is a pain in the backside. Then we have Andrew Fellows, Luke Austin, Jonathan Hatchett, with Jonathan Elliott, Alex Van Geen, Shamak Golek from the C final, and Matt Goodger-Scott from the C final. As I'm both blind and dealing with screens that keep turning off with the overlays.
There we are, but we got there in the end, and yeah, what we can see from this, Russell Edwards, I will just double check, I forget his team. Russell is driving for Redwoods Racing. Sean King, Connor Marsh, P2 and 3, those guys, and Luke Austin down in P9. They're all the NKL guys. Adam Cater, I believe, is in one of the 130 racing cars, maybe. Just need to double check that. Luke Browning in the Luke Browning racing car, Mike Scott in the MGS Designs car. So, you know, there's a good mix of guys here, and the talent's pretty close in this one, actually, to be fair. So we're going to see some nice close racing. I would lay money on Luke Austin progressing.
Certainly will be interesting to see what will develop from this B final. As we're going to head out to the grid now, joined by Jake Sanson, who's going to have a couple of words with us throughout this race. As we know you like to talk, Jake, so we'll let you have a few words now before we head to the grid, but we actually are on the grid, so a few words. B final, who's your pick?
I'd like to see Luke Browning win this one. He's pretty quick. He's driving angry as a result of losing out on some good positions. I think it's going to be Luke Browning from 6th on the grid.
Luke Browning from 6th is Jake Sanson's pick here, of course. Max Scott actually on the pole. Will Murphin with Jonathan Hatchett, Luke Austin, Andrew Fellows, Luke Browning, Alex Van Geen, Connor Marsh, Jonathan Elliott, Adam Cator, Russell Edwards, Sean King, Shamak Goldick and Matt Goodger-Scott is your running order. Lights are going on the gantry, and the B final will get underway. Good start by Scott, but it's a great start for... Oh, someone's gone off and hit the wall further back. That was spectacular by Connor Marsh as he decides to impact onto the hard thing to his left. Great start by Hatchett, who did the same thing in his first round as we have a spinner further back. That's Van Geen going round, I think, as he's had issues. Local yellows flashing out on the track for the guys as Will Murphin makes it through there as Browning moves forwards, and big hits there.
Lots
between
of
some of the
sideways
guys
movements.
further back. Sean King going forwards, Van Geen up to 4th place. Big movement forwards for those guys as we've had some incidents early on in the B final. Very tight racing here going on. Hatchett, Browning, Austin, Van Geen, King, Fellows, Cater, Lewis. This is not quite as crazy as the C final, but it's still elbows out racing.
3 corners in, it's already action-packed. But yeah, what we're watching, Luke Austin progressing up to P3, Luke Browning up there in P2, Jonathan Hatchett.
I think someone's had an issue. Is that Andrew Fellows had an issue just back there? As we've got a bit of side-by-side racing further back in the pack here as... that was a big pass there by, I think, was one of the green helmet guys who's run off the track. I think that was Shamak Goldick has had a problem. He went wide on the run to the hairpin as...
It looked like the 130R guys were almost going to take each other out there as well, so this is getting really spicy.
Certainly is, as mid-pack is very, very busy. We're looking at Goodger-Scott there with Adam Cater, his teammate in front of him. Huge hit on Luke Austin there as he came in like a wrecking ball, to quote Miley Cyrus, and just took him out in a run to Spoon A.
That was Sean King that got wiped out there, I think. Luke Austin's still showing his P3, but yeah, just some really hefty.
I don't think that was that far forward because that happened behind Cater. I think that was Scott and Fellows and Edwards sort of territory on the track. As
quite possibly, we know that
was a big hit. That was out of nowhere. Suddenly, Randy Orton is. Oh my gosh! Yeah, I think that's
Will Murphin
decided to. I don't know what he did, but I think Will Murphin decided he didn't want to live anymore.
And you know, those guys coming up from the C final, Matt Goodger-Scott in P5 at the moment, and Shamak Goldick in P9. But Matt being really smooth, showing his pace. We've got the NKL guys here fighting. I think that's Luke Austin on Jonathan
Browning
Hatchett.
has just gone through to the lead from Jonathan Hatchett at this point, and Luke Austin in 3rd. Remember, top 3 will promote to the A final, so Goodger-Scott has a chance here to go from the C final to the A final. This is insane.
It would be an inspired performance if he did, Rachel.
It really would be. Luke Browning leading the way with Jonathan Hatchett, Luke Austin currently in the transfer spots now to our A final. Alex Van Geen in 4th. And the front group here are very, very close actually. So top 4 could do this. Goodger-Scott's a little far back though at this point in time. He's 3 seconds back, but we are on lap 2 here. So
like
a lot could still
mugged.
happen as he does get mugged there. Luke Austin moves through and Jonathan Hatchett gets himself up to 2nd place.
And Alex Van Gien of Missed Apex podcast is now going to be fighting to overtake Mr. Hatchet. He's a team owner of Team Corporate Chauffeurs hire cart team as well. So
Hatchet with a big tank slapper there.
And Austin running very, very wide out of the hairpin, which brings Hatchet and Van Gien back into contention for P2. So really still quite tight here in the top 5.
And look who's coming behind him. That is Matt Goodger-Scott, who's just visible there in the background, that blue car of his in the Seat Leon there. He's catching up towards the back of these guys as Hatchet looking very out of shapes here as he comes through second part of Spoon Corner. Once again, another car very sideways. The back of these cars have proven very loose, Lewis. These guys are all sliding.
There's well, you know, these cars 350 or 370 odd horsepower. You know, front wheel drive. There's a lot of lift off oversteer if you're not careful with the pedals. And we're just riding on board with Alex Van Gien as he really clatters the curb through 130R, but takes it flat, and that should serve him well as we come down into the Casio triangle.
Does indeed. And off the track goes Luke Austin. Will have to give up that spot
and
to Jonathan Hatchet and Alex Van Gien here. Oh, they're actually off the track, I think. He's dropping down. Oh, he's hit. He's out.
All 4 out. All 4 off the track. There we are.
All 4?
Jonathan, yeah, the top 4 all wiped each other out, but Jonathan Hatchet looked like he got the rub there, and he's back in P1, and Matt Goodger-Scott P2, Alex Van Gien P3.
This is crazy. We just had a massive incident there with the top 4 as Hatchet back up in the lead. Goodger-Scott now will transfer if he stays here from race C up to race A.
Austin P2 to P10, so that did not work out well for him, and he just got caught up in someone else's shunt, unfortunately for him. But we'll see how things progress. I think actually, you know, to be fair, Luke ran wide at Casio Triangle, tried to delay his return to the track, and as we know, those infamous sausage curbs litter that area, and it doesn't matter where you return, it's going to launch you. So you know, he's another crash, another casualty from the sausage curbs.
It certainly is, and Jonathan Hatchet, Matt Goodger-Scott, Alex Van Gien, Sean King, Adam Cater, Luke Browning is your top 6. Andrew Fellows in there, Shamak Goldick. Oh, as off goes, that was, I think, Shamak Goldick maybe? It was one of the blue cars. I think there's only 2 of them in this race.
Adam Cater, that was.
Oh, and Goodger-Scott to the point. No, that's switched around again.
Yeah,
let's go to what's happening for the lead of this race here as Goodger-Scott and Jonathan Hatchet fighting very closely here. Getting very, very close. Yeah, that's the swap around we just saw there.
I would not have bet on that.
This is crazy. Yeah, he started last. That's Matt Goodger-Scott back of the grid to the front in the B final. This is a drive for the A final. He is the inspired driver at the moment.
Yeah, approaching midway through the race here as we just come towards the end of lap 3, and yeah, it's I believe Goodger-Scott in the 130R car. So yeah, he's really got his foot down, and he's trying to break away from Jonathan Hatchet. So we'll see if he can make good on that and just gap him a little bit more as Hatchet runs wide.
We'll have to see what he will do as Jonathan Hatchet now trailing Goodger-Scott by about 0.7 of a second. As Alex Van Gien up into 3rd. Browning is trying to come back, but the gap is quite large. Big fight back here. We're looking at Luke Austin on board with Mike Scott ahead of him. Will Murphy behind him. A very tight pack of cars here, and this is of course Luke Austin down in 9th. Shamak Goldex just in front of them. Andrew Fellows also in his group, so a very tight bit of racetrack here, Luke.
You know, applauding all of those guys there. I think they went 4th through the Casio Triangle chicanes there, and they all kept it clean and tidy. No one off the road, and that's the sort of racing that we want to see. You know, still nice and bunched up, but you know, no one ending up in the wall and no one's race ruined.
Certainly not, and fantastic so far as Jonathan Hatchet back to the point actually here. Jonathan Hatchet gets past Matt Goodger-Scott in this one. Move him up ahead of... as the other car loses it.
That's
that was
Mike
just behind
Scott
Shalleck.
going off the road there.
It was. Mike Scott losing that car as he will fall victim to the very loose tail of these TCR machines and loses the car. As Alex Van Gien is doing something big here as we're looking at him.
So Andrew Fellows running wide through Degner. Van Gien P3
catching
still, but
up to P2. So Van Gien actually catching up here. It was another moment behind him as very close, and that was nearly Sean King or Luke Browning, I think actually. It was Luke Browning about to have some fun, but Jonathan Hatchet back ahead of Luke Goodger-Scott. It doesn't matter who finishes where of these guys. These points don't matter. This is going to get you to the A final.
Yeah, and you know, that's what it means to these guys. Luke Browning really wants to progress, and I'm sure Alex does too. As we see Matt Goodger just get a little bit squirrely there under braking for the second part of Spoon, and some kind of action behind. There we are. Luke Browning getting the run on Alex Van Gien towards 130R. So what will we see here is Van Gien going to shut the door, or is he going to tuck him behind and try and get him back into the hairpin? It's a close one.
Certainly is, as the two cars heading into the hairpin now, and straight through for Alex Van Gien there. Closes the door very late on Luke Browning, but he gets through, gets it done in a very risky move, but they all make the next corner. Top four very close on the racetrack here. Hatchett, Goodger, Scott, Van Gien and Browning. We could see any one of 5 drivers potentially make this top 3 cutoff here, as the action is very close.
Yeah, surprised to see Andrew Fellows up there, but you know, as the race is rolling on, we're seeing Shamak Glodex progressed his way through the grid. Now P5, he started P13. Good.
Oh, huge mistake
slide
there by what is Goodger Scott. That was penalty worthy. Oh, crowd are cheering.
Good lad.
As,
handing that place
big
back.
Moment there by Alex Van Gien, a fan favourite here, who gets through to the lead after that big mistake by Matt Goodger Scott, who ends up sideways up the inside as Missed Apex are in absolutely high spirits here. Alex Van Gien to the point of this one. Luke Browning in second place. Big fight here for the top 2. Third place is Hatchet. Goodger Scott may have a penalty, may not, because he lost a lot of places, so it may not count. But
yeah, and he handed the place back as well. He got loose. He couldn't have done anything more to try and
oh,
save
it's
that
very
and not cause
racy
a
here. This
collision.
is fantastic, Lewis. We are seeing some serious touring car action here. The guys are sideways, clouds of dust being kicked up. This could go any way. 3 of these 4 will promote to the A final.
And isn't this what racing's about as well? You know, yeah, there are moments, but people are racing fair, and even if they get a bit wide or they run someone out of the way, you know, they're trying to be honest. They're trying to just race for the points. They're not making any desperate lunges, because you know it matters. Alex Van Gien running wide there through 200R, giving Luke Browning the run into Spoon Curve, but Van Gien's got the inside. So what's going to happen here?
Oh, rounding outside goes Luke Browning, and the crowd are going crazy again as Luke Browning's fans are now choosing to yell at the top of their lungs. It's getting very loud here. As, Luke Browning gets past Alex Van Gien in second place. Here comes Jonathan Hatchett as well. This is like watching around the British touring cars.
It is,
fantastic.
and this is just towards the end of lap 5, 1 to go, and I know Alex will be gutted that he that got away from him there, but it looks like maybe Hatchett gave him a little bit of a love tap as well. Matt could just
he's off.
Oh.
Van Gien makes a mistake, and he
and he
kills top
takes
2.
Luke Browning.
This is huge. That's the top 2 have had a mistake here. That was caused by Alex Van Gien getting sideways. He definitely missed the apex there.
He did, and he definitely hit those sausage curbs that he was so critical of others for making contact with as well. So who knows? He might be eating his hat later on.
He certainly could be. That's absolutely mental what's happening in this race. Back to the front is Jonathan Hatchett. Luke Browning in second. Oh, contact again with Goodger Scott. Goodger Scott can't keep his nose clean in this one, as he's still in third place. He should be happy there. That's what he needs.
Second time he's got the back end loose through that corner in as many laps. So he's lucky to be holding on to P3. But this is a breathtaking race.
It really is. And at the front, Jonathan Hatchett, Luke Browning, Matt Goodger Scott. Luke Austin wants a chance in this one. He's on top of these guys as well. There's 5, 6, 7 cars in this front group. Anything could happen. We've seen it happen already. This is the last lap. Who will promote? At the moment, it's Hatchett, Browning, Goodger Scott are in those promotion spots. We don't know if Goodger Scott will keep this place based on contact in the race. That could be Luke Austin. We don't know. But Alex Van Gien, who was going to be in this point, Missed Apex were very proud of that, and their fans, he's out of the running order now. Hatchett, Browning, Goodger Scott. Can Hatchett stay clean? Can he hold off the horde of what is 6 race cars here, top 6, under an umbrella here, as is Hatchett out of the hairpin? Just Luke Browning sniffing his rear bumper.
I'm still saying Luke Austin's in with a chance here. I know he got fired at the final corner early this race, but he's really hunting down Matt Goodger Scott now, and you know, even if Matt doesn't take the penalty, I think Luke might have this one. Oh, Hatchett getting a bit loose there into
the
the
second
part of Spoon.
on Hatchett by Browning there through the second part of Spoon Curve as they run up towards 130R. It's not going to be a run by Browning, but we'll see what happens a little further back from these guys, as this is not over yet. We've got other set of hairpin corners to go. 130R and the Casio Triangle. Anything could happen at this point. Jonathan Hatchett into 130R. Behind him, Luke Browning, Matt Goodger Scott, Luke Austin, Shaman Goldick, Andrew Fellows, all of them here. Cars everywhere, cars sliding off behind, and one of them Shaman Goldick into the final corner of the car triangle. Off goes Luke Austin. No, off goes Matt Goodyear Scott. Luke Austin up to third.
Both
out
of
of the final corner, crowd goes wild. It is Jonathan Hatchett, Luke Browning coming home with a 1-2. Matt Goodyear Scott will hold on to take third place. Luke Austin has to settle for fourth. Mike Scott in fifth place. Shaman Goldick in sixth. I've just run out of air for my lungs.
Luke
that
Browning's
was
thrown
a
it off the
crazy
road.
end of the race, Lewis.
It really was. And, you know, I would be unsurprised if Matt Goodyear Scott took a penalty there. You know, that's 3 incidents in 3 laps. I think if you look back at that one, Casio Triangle, he gave Luke Austin nowhere to go but to try and get across the runoff. So I'm going to go and speak to race control.
Yes, you go talk to race control. Hopefully we're going to get a chance to talk to Jonathan Hatchett in this one. That was an absolutely crazy finish to the B final here. 3 drivers will promote. It will be Jonathan Hatchett and Luke Browning. Will it be Matt Goodyear Scott or Luke Austin? We do not know at this point. But that was an absolutely fantastic final. Jake Sanson's come back for a quick word. Jake, there was a lot of screaming and shouting at this one. I think we're being joined now. Jonathan Hatchett coming in for a quick chat. We'll come to you in a minute, Luke, Jake. But we'll see what's up for Jonathan Hatchett. Have you got any breath left in your lungs? Because that was one of the craziest 6-lap races in touring cars I've seen. You guys were sideways, bumping into each other. You swapped the lead several times. You must feel on top of the world now.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good race. There's a few hits in the back that was unexpected, but we all ended up on top of it in the end. So, yeah, it was good. Good race.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I mean, you were beating fenders with Mike Goodyear Scott a few times, but you held off the horde. You promoted to the A final. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. Happy. We'll see how it goes in the next one.
Best of luck with the A final. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Jonathan Hatchett.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are just joined now by Jake Sanson for a quick word. Jake, you were one of the crowd cheering on that B final. Probably the best racing action we've had all night. How do you feel?
What can I say? The kid's got some talent, hasn't he? Here he is. Luke Browning's actually here.
Oh, we're actually joined by Luke Browning, who came home in second place. Join us on the microphone, Luke.
Hiya, you alright?
Yeah, we're joined by Luke Browning. Second place in that one. You promoted to the A final.
Yeah.
Heading up to the big boys now for the A1. How are you going to feel?
Oh, amazing, isn't it, down here? It's just brilliant. It's a bit different to on the track, but there's nothing like a bit of good old racing, is there?
Crazy racing there in that final. How did you keep you cool in amongst that pack of cars who were bumping each other, running into each other, and just good touring car action? I mean, that must have been quite stressful to deal with.
Well, getting used to it at home, playing with my dad. We've got our own simulator at home, which is just broken, actually. It's a bit of a shame. But to deal with it, nothing really much to deal with. It's touring cars, isn't it? I love what I do, and that's...
Well, just to kind of put this into perspective, folks at home, a lot of the drivers here are grown adults at this point. Luke, how old are you?
15.
Luke is 15, and the rest of the guys here are, grown adults, big guys, rough and tumble touring car racing, and 15-year-old Luke Browning with a fantastic second place, promoted to the A final. Congratulations, Luke.
Thanks so much.
Well, Jake, crazy racing here, heading into the A final now.
Yeah.
As fantastic. I mean, he doesn't look 15, looks about 12.
I told you to keep an eye on him, didn't I?
He looks about 12 years old, the poor little guy, but a kid, elbows out there, battling with some really tough competitors, and we had one of my favourite finishes, last few laps even. The whole race.
Well, let's
touring car action I've seen.
Yeah, let's put into context the fact that Luke got taken out twice in that race, and he was still only about 3 inches away from the back of Hatchett's car. And these guys he's competing against have been doing the Simply Race Championships for the last 2 years or so. This is his first night, and he's taking it to the big boys.
Fantastic run, and he's going to the A final for his first time.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why he's the Downforce Radio Henry Srtcc Teen Racer of the Year. He's got that ability. There's something a little bit extra special with him. He was great in the Junior Saloons last year. Hopefully he's going to have another crack at the championship this year, but he is the favourite going in, so that's going to be one people will want to get to the circuits to see. But yeah, this kid is good no matter what car you give him, whether it's a real one or a virtual one. He's amazing.
If this is what we've seen in the B final, I have no idea what we're going to see in the A final. We've got the big boys, the big names. Is this going to take the roof off the place tonight? The crowd will go mental for the B final.
Yeah, it'll be pandemonium, Rachel.
It's going to be crazy for the A final.
Well, you look at the people that are going to be in that A final. You've got the likes of Jack Ashton, Brad Philpott, Callum Cripps, all of these incredible drivers that are in there. Lewis Manley's going to be a factor, Lee Connell as well. All of these guys. And then you've got that underdog right in there, Luke Browning. But then let's not forget as well that Jonathan Hatchett, he had so much hard work to get that victory won. There were so many drivers who could have won that, and there was a good 5 or 6 moments for each of those drivers to have from Alex Van Gien. He all the way when it comes to Simply Race touring cars. They're amazing.
It certainly is, and the series has been fantastic for this first event this season. It's been absolutely brilliant. Folks, we are going to be away for just a moment's time, and then we will bring you the action from the grid here, kicking off the A final. Stay with us. It's going to be a titanic finish. Right, folks, we're back live with you, about to kick off the A final here for the Simply Race Touring Car Series. And this is not our starting grid, don't remember. We will not know that until they actually end up on the grid with the way things are going. Lewis, B final, just to reiterate, that was absolutely crazy.
It really was, and you know, the good news story of Matt Goodger-Scott progressing, getting the final qualification place for the B final in C, getting P2 there, getting the final place for the A final with P3 in the B, so... well, he's hard charging. He's determined to grab some extra points, and let's see if he can do it again in this one.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And Matt Goodger-Scott narrowly evading penalties for the dodgems that was the B final.
Yeah, I've had a word with race control. You know, we have we maybe have some different views on that, but they have all of the cameras. We just have the ones that are on show at that any given moment. I've spoken with the other drivers as well, and actually Luke Austin, gracious in defeat for P4 there. I said, did you take evasive action? Because the other guy was out of control, and he said, you know, you could look at it that way. He said, but honestly, I was just distracted and missed my braking point.
These things happen in racing, and well, this is going to be a titanic one. We hit up in a second. The drivers that will be involved are some big names in this final, so these are, of course, the finishing points from the last one, or names from the last race. But we've got the big guys coming up next. As,
if
the
only
car
you could see.
apparently has turned to Lego on our screen. I think someone drew that car in Microsoft Paint.
I was 3.
Is that the MS Paint entry?
It
The
is.
MS Paint
I
was the
was
team?
3 when I created that one.
Were you?
Yeah.
Did you actually?
No.
No, okay. Because I wasn't sure. It does look like something made in Microsoft Paint. Jake, is this the car you designed we're seeing on screen right now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's my kind of beige Crusader.
The Sanson Mobile, is that what we're calling it?
Well, I've actually decided to change my name tonight after my move on Ryan Ferris in the last race.
Jake Maldonado isn't a very fair name.
It isn't, but I was a bit Banzai of a Sanson, so I'm now changing my name to Jake Banson.
Jake Banson, there we go. That's an
you know,
ominous name for Jake. As Lewis?
I think our friend and mutual downforce personality, who's not with us this evening, unfortunately, but Mr. Goldschmidt would admire the car we're currently seeing in the garage. He's known for driving a Volvo and being an old man, so maybe maybe a symphony in beige is right up his alley.
I think someone needs to fix something because this looks a little terrible. I know our Factor's graphics aren't fantastic, but that's taking things a little too far. But heading into the A final now, Jake, that was titanic. This A final, the big names are here. This is going to be worse, isn't it?
Yes. I'm just disappointed I'm not anywhere near close to it, you know. Not bad.
You might initiate to watch, though, which might actually be better.
Actually, yeah, I think it will be better, you know. I mean, to be fair, though, you know, the standard of the racing has been very touring car-ish, very BTCCC at the front. And at the back, where I've been messing around and making a mess of it myself, it's been all right. It's been good.
It certainly has, as we've got the names
This
for
is
the
also
A
not our
final
grid.
up on the list. It is still not our grid because
I've had
our
a
Factor,
sneak peek at
folks.
the grid a
It
moment
will,
ago. I think this is something resembling pod order, but not quite accurate.
Yes, this is about the pod order. It's not actually our starting positions. This is, of course, the nature of this being a multi-simulator facility. Orders aren't quite necessarily in the right position yet. Things tick over once we head onto the grid, and we are lining up now for the big A final. And I don't think we're going to really be able to take a breath, Lewis, in the next 12 minutes, of course, of the 6-lap A final. It's going to be huge. And, well, I can't wait.
I'm going to have to take a breath and grab a drink of water, I think, because this one surely going to be one for the history books as far as Srtcc goes. Here we are looking at the grid now. It looks like Callum Cripps, Lewis Manley, Bradley Philpott being the top three. Lee Connell joining Philpott on the second row as the most successful driver of the evening from Team Purple Helmets. Dane Oliver and Scott Woodwis make up row 3. Pryor and Ashton, row 4. Talbot and Chard, row 5. Banwell and Hatchett, row 6. And Browning and Goodger Scott, row 7 for us there. Goodger Scott, again, that good news story. All of the finals this evening for him, so he's got his money's worth. Yeah, I don't know many people that would like to see Brad Philpott.
I think I was muted when I said that, actually. I had my microphone muted, folks, while I was talking to you. I said, Callum Cripps told us on YouTube that he's very scared, by the way, his comment. I agree with you, Callum Cripps, and this is going to be a throwdown, Lewis, to go back to what I tried to say but was muted, because I'm switching back and forth as we're having such a loud event here that I kind of need to keep the microphone muted half the time.
Yeah, he's going to be looking in his mirrors because Philpott and Manley they don't hang about. But what we're seeing now, actually, interesting spelling of Piers Pryor, P-E-I-R-S. I've never seen that one before.
I'm going to have a bit of a wander now, actually. And Callum Cripps is actually here. He's going to get a little bit of an interview on the starting grid before this one kicks off, as he is actually listening to us live. Callum, you being a smart ass on the grid, this is going to be quite a busy one. You watched the B final. It was fairly active. Thoughts for the A?
Yeah, it's going to be hectic. I'm going to be watching my mirrors a lot. I know Lewis and Brad's going to look after me, I think, but you never know with Brad. So and Lewis is going to be quick as well. So there's going to be a few people coming from the mid pack who can be quick, but we'll see what happens.
Best of luck, Callum. Thank you. And well, that's our starting grid set up for the A final. We're going to have to see what happens in this one as we head into the final few moments. As well, we don't know what's going to happen, Lewis. It's going to be very, very busy. The cars are on the grid. Cripps on the pole, of course. Manley, Philpott, Connell, Dane Oliver, Scott Woodwis, Piers Pryor, Jack Ashton, Colin Talbot, Carl Chard, Josh Banwell, Jonathan Hatchett, Luke Browning, and Matt Goodger Scott. If we're going to pick 14 cars that have been involved in more racing for the entire evening, I don't think we're going to pick 14 more. The lights go on the gantry for the final time tonight. 4 lights, 5 lights are a red. The lights will go out, and we're racing here at Suzuka, and it's a huge start from the back by the car. I think of Jonathan Hatchett back there as they fan out, heading down towards turn number 1, and it's Philpott looking like he's going to try and make a move to the outside. There's always Cripps and Philpott actually moving together there on the outside. There's all a bit of contact, tapping towards the front. As out front is Manley with Cripps, with Philpott, Connell, Chard, and Pryor. Lewis, it is on now.
Yeah, and what we have to look out here for as well is the guys looking after their team points. We know that Cripps and Philpott, same team. Connell and Ashton, same team. Pryor and Woodwis, same team. So maybe they let Manley go, those 2 race tuition guys. Maybe not, but they're certainly going to be looking at the bigger picture as well, because they've got 2 titles to fight for. Lewis, just the one.
So I think it's interesting as the braking boards get taken out rather judiciously by the cars there as you head through the Degners. Lewis Manley, Callum Cripps, Bradley Philpott. Oh, that was a car flying off in the background. Carl Chard deciding to take every inch of road he could possibly find. Lewis Manley, Callum Cripps at front, Bradley Philpott running now. I think that's Callum Cripps was running wide. He was on the grass there for a minute. I think that might have been netcode though. As here comes the car of Piers Pryor. He's taking it now to Lee Connell. Pryor wants to get involved in this one. He's right up behind the car of Lee Connell. Carl Chard between them. That's the car that's just behind him, the grey and pink car. Pink and white, of course, being Connell. Piers Pryor in the downforce car with the pink wheel. So all 3 of these guys have got pink colours, all very close to Piers Pryor there. There's 3 of them under the hood there, trying to get a run up towards 130R. And Pryor will look to the inside. He has a bit of a run. He's not close enough, no. They're all 3 clear as he tries to come inside. Will he back down? It would be beneficial to both of them because the contact would put them both in the wall, of course.
Yeah.
Teammates Philpott and Cripps are there. Philpott got past Cripps, though, in this early running. Manley is still out front for now. as it is still very much on. And big braking there from Lee Connell. Is he going to get it closed down in time? They all do. Pryor runs onto the apex. He hits the sausage curbs, flies off the track. Pierce Pryor is down for the count there as he becomes our latest victim of the sausage curbs, Lewis.
They are taking no prisoners today. If you touch those, you're done. Here we are watching the race tuition guys, both slipstreaming Mr. Manley. Philpott round the outside through T1.
Oh, huge move by Bradley Philpott.
But he's run wide.
He gets it secured. That was a huge attempt though, Lewis. Trying to go around the outside in 1 and 2, but he keeps the car in one piece and on the track at least.
Couldn't quite get it hooked up, but yeah, as you say, keep it on the island, and he'll live to fight another day.
He certainly will.
Lewis Manley knows how to keep things clean, though. He maybe just thought, you know what, you try that one, because I'm going to come back at you in a moment.
Well, one thing that struck me there from interviewing Manley tonight is he's a very quiet and very collected character. He seems to have everything under control, and he's looking at this sort of on track. He drives like a veteran, of course, and the likes of Philpott and Cripps behind him are not making this easy for him, but we'll keep our eyes on this right now. This is on the hood of Bradley Philpott's machine as he's looking at the back of Lewis Manley's car. Going to head a little bit back in the field now. See what Scott Woodwis, Carl Chard, Jack Ashton are up to here. Lee Connell actually has just dropped back a spot, and Lee Connell on the outside of the hairpin there as he tries to hold this spot. Woodwis under threat from behind by Jack Ashton. Up ahead of them, Carl Chard working on Lee Connell. It's very busy, Carl Chard here. We're going to keep an eyes on him as we go into the board with Carl Chard. Looking like he'll try and dive to the inside defensive line there by Lee Connell as he run into Spoon.
Is that
Can he get his car underneath him? It will hurt both of them in terms of speed. Very defensive line as round the outside will look the car of Carl Chard, and he'll have the racing line. He'll have the run here. This could be around the outside in Spoon. You don't see that very often, Lewis.
You don't, and I'm not sure he'll be able to make it without giving it a little bit of a lift. But Connell's
it's side by side.
That's really close to the mark in terms of whether that was a fair move. But no, we're seeing Lee Connell there just finding the absolute limit of the rules, saying, you know what, I am going to give you a car's width, but not until the last moment. So, this is my corner. You lift or you go off.
It certainly was that, and fantastic racing here in the top 5 or 6 cars. And that was Carl Chard and Lee Connell, and they were being very respectful. This is what we've seen here so far. A very respectful race amongst these guys. We've seen a very clean race. We've not really seen any incidents so far, Lewis. Still Manley from Philpott, from Cripps, Connell, Chard, Woodwis, Ashton, Banwell. As things are panning out, of course, that's the car there of Cripps running a little bit onto the grass on the inside of 1 and 2. Lewis Manley out front. The gap is now 0.7 seconds between himself and Bradley Philpott. Callum Cripps is about a second back from that pair. As the race is getting very intense here, and that's the car behind Woodwis. That is Ashton trying to put the pressure on here as he's working his way towards the downforce radio car of Scott Woodwis. His teammate, of course, is Lee Connell. So you've got 2 of the Ashton's teammates in this 4-car fight, Lewis. You think maybe Connell might back up these 2 onto his teammates so he can get some involvement?
I don't think that's even entered his mind. He's fighting off a hard-charging Carl Chard there, so it's a case of looking after yourself until you're comfortable, and then worrying about your teammates. But I think if we come back to what we were saying earlier, Philpott and Cripps, both of these guys, real-life racers. Philpott, TCR driver himself, not had his first run out in the new Peugeot 308 yet, but a TCR racer. Woodwis goes off the road, and Jack Ashton takes a place. Was there contact there? I'm not sure. Maybe we'll get a.
Not a lot from what we've seen. It was fairly innocuous adjustment.
Okay, what's that message popping up on our screen?
Something's shown incorrectly for us, I think. So we'll try and work out what that was there. That's Dane Oliver, I think, pod 5, as we'll try and work out what's been going on. But Lewis Manley still leading. Gap is 1.1 seconds back to Bradley Philpott. Lee Connell is now 3 seconds back, so he's jumped over Carl Chard. Callum Cripps has an issue. He's dropped down the order, actually. Callum Cripps has dropped down from 3rd. He's currently running in 5th place, so he's lost positions in the running order. Lee Connell, Carl Chard, Jack Ashton, Scott Woodwis, Josh Bannell, Pierce Pryor, Dane Oliver. Off the track goes Carl Chard. He manages to miss those sausage curbs.
That's the first time I've seen someone not launch into another car coming over those sausage curbs.
It's very close here as it's Callum Cripps got past him again. So Callum Cripps working here on the car of Carl Chard and Lee Connell. He's back up actually alongside him. Can he hold it around the outside? Oh, contact's going to happen, and our first incident of the night nearly happened, but he saves the car. Just the second tap actually saves him there. Oh my gosh, the second tap actually put him back in a straight line, Lewis. You can tell he's a real racer because he held on to that one spectacularly.
He did a great job there, and I think he turned in. So maybe that was Callum's fault, just getting the tap on the rear end in the first instance. It was him moving across Carl, but that gave Lee a moment to take a breath and maybe get his thoughts together. I wouldn't be surprised if he now tries to push on and get himself a bit of a gap.
Certainly did, of course. Lewis Manley, Bradley Philpott gap there, 1.2 seconds. Lee Connell, and we're on lap number 4 here, so the race is actually winding down. These guys have to make sure they get this one right, but it could be close to the front, of course. Lewis Manley controlling this race like he has so far in all of his. And last time he started from the front, of course, he had a very clean run to the end, flag to flag. As this stands, Callum Cripps working his way back towards these guys. Lee Connell, Carl Chard in front of him at the moment. We're looking at that at the moment on the hood there of Bradley Philpott, looking towards Lewis Manley in the distance. That gap is 1.3 seconds-ish at the moment, as a bit sideways there for the racetuition.com Audi TT of Philpott. He's doing what he can here to move forwards as Lee Connell behind them, Carl Chard, Callum Cripp. We'll have a look at Cripp. He's really in a great spot. I think this will be up on your screen in a second, but you can see them there. That is Cripp working on the back of Chard and Connell. This trio very, very close. Scott Woodward's up in 6th place. Piers Pryor worked his way back up to 8th here, Lewis, after his incident earlier on. But this has been an insanely clean race. This is exactly what we've been after.
Yeah, it's great racing, and we expect that from the guys that make the A final. They should at least know in part what they're doing. As Chard gets on the sausage curbs there and just hands the place back to Callum Cripps. Did him a favour. I think he was being closed down anyway, so maybe that was a mistake under pressure. But we'll watch and see if he can make his way back on the podium, because at the moment, in terms of the teams championship, we've got the racetuition.com guys leading home, the purple helmets guys for P2, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, all of the points and all of the races count, but there are specifically more points for the finals than there are for the heats. So it really does matter what you do in this race, and that's what Matt Goodger-Scott's proven. He could have taken home 15 points for a 4th place in the C final, and now he's looking at taking home 30
exactly. Of course, the points for the final, the A final at least, all the finals I should say, is 45 down and backwards basically.
It is
from the A final to the B final to the C final. It's 45 points total. So getting first place in the C final is 15 points. First place in the B final is 30. 45 for the A final, so sliding scale of points, working your way all the way up here is fantastic for these guys.
And when you do progress through those finals, you only get to keep the points from your finish in your highest place final. So
it can only improve, though, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So he's always had the opportunity to just get a few more, and that could be the thing that makes the difference, because those 130R guys, they're not always at the sharp end of the grid, but they put in some solid performances, and we've seen them in the GT racing and the endurance stuff we do here too, and they're quick pedalers.
They are indeed, and running order as things stand is Lewis Manley, Bradley Philpott, Lee Connell, Callum Cripps, Carl Chard, Scott Woodward, Josh Banwell, Piers Pryor, Jack Ashton, Dane Oliver, Luke Browning, Colin Talbot, Jonathan Hatchett, Matt Goodger-Scott. Those two haven't really moved up much in this one. The speed is incredibly high, as is the level of competition. Lap number 5 of 6 in your A final tonight. Bradley Philpott brings the gap down to under a second between himself and Lewis Manley. The gap is starting to shrink now.
Yeah,
looking here at Callum Cripp, actually, he's going to get past Carl Chard.
We're coming towards the end of the 5th lap. Callum Cripps maybe in this last lap can make a move on Lee Connell, and from the times it looks like perhaps Lewis Manley made an uncharacteristic mistake that last lap, which has allowed Philpott to close, because that was at least 3 but probably 4 tenths he gained there, and that's a big chunk. We don't normally see Lewis making any mistakes.
We certainly don't, and it's definitely making things active as we enter the last lap here of the A final. Lewis Manley, Bradley Philpott, Lee Connell, your podium at the moment, and the times are looking fairly static, Lewis. I'm not sure we're going to see a difference in position in these top maybe 6 or 7 spots. We could see it with the likes of Cripp, Chard and Connell. That is very close, but looking like Manley and Philpott will take the first 2 spots. I don't think they're going to really swap places here, but Lee Connell, Callum Cripp, we'll keep our eyes on what's happening here. This is definitely the busy stuff. This is where we could see a swap in spots. We've got one of the Civics, we've got one of the I think that's a Seat, and we've got the Audi TT. Oh, a big move attempted by Callum Cripps.
Yeah, I
As he
think
tried to
maybe
find a way,
Lee
but up
just
the inside.
moved under braking there, and that's allowed Carl Chart to come back through, and maybe he's going to sneak the place now.
He certainly could do. Oh, look at this, running outside. He tries to look, and he'll have the outside line, but the line will go to Callum Cripp as he'll accelerate, but he has to hold the door open for Carl Chard there, as Chard will likely get past him in the run to Spoon, but he'll still have the inside line if he can hold it. He is going to hold it, we think. He's not. He's dropped back behind him, so Callum Cripp dropping back behind him as he goes up the inside into Spoon. Bit of contact on the door there. Callum Cripp uses Carl Chard to turn the corner.
Well,
that
you
could
know,
be a time penalty because that was definitely using 8 wheels to brake rather than 4.
Possibly, but was he down the inside, or was it
No,
a bit
he
of an
wasn't at
opportunistic
all.
lunge?
That was I'm coming in, I'm flying in, I'm going to use 8 wheels to brake rather than 4 because I went in too hard.
Here we are watching the last corner here as Philpott
It
and
is.
Manley coming into the close. And,
It's closer than it has been.
Yeah, but it's going to be Philpott's going to lose out to Manley over the line as we hear Lewis celebrating there as he
is.
comes out of that last corner.
Lewis Manley takes a victory in round number 1 here from Suzuka. Clapping from the crowd. Bradley Philpott will take home second place. Lee Connell out the final corner will come home with the final step of your podium with Callum Cripps in 4th. Scott Woodwith actually makes it up to 5th in the end. Piers Pryor to 6th as Carl Chard makes a mistake and drops to 7th. Second time in a few laps he's done that, as a time penalty was applied, I think, for him after an incident. Jack Ashton come home in 7th. Luke Browning in 8th. Carl Chard 9th. Josh Banwell with Jonathan Hatchett, Matt Goodger Scott, Carl Chard, Josh Banwell, Dane Oliver, and we're joined finally by Lewis Manley. Lewis, you've got the victory today in the A final, flag to flag victory. You won your splits, and now you've just gone and won the final. How do you feel?
Superb, over the moon. The start was just mega. As soon as the green, I just let go of the gear. There was just a near perfect start, and a little bit of a moment on the chicanes, the last corner, because I had just went in too deep, and fortunately I didn't spin. I still managed to keep ahead, and then when Brad passed Callum, and I knew it was going to be not easy to keep ahead, but obviously my car was just superb in that race. Excellent pace all the way through. I'm just delighted to score maximum points tonight.
Well, you did exactly that, and you've taken home the maximum points, as you mentioned. Brilliant race from you, and obviously on to round number 2. You're in a leading position in the championship already. It's got to feel good.
Absolutely, yeah. I was just looking forward to this championship from the start, because I knew my car in testing was so fast, and it proved tonight it was very fast tonight. So, fair play to Brad, because he was very close on me throughout the race. But my car and his car, we just pretty much match each other pace for pace. But I just can't be more happy. I'm just so speechless to be 3 out of 3 wins and to be championship leader at the first round, to give my title defence. Couldn't ask any better.
Certainly was. Thank you very much for joining us. Lewis Manley, of course, taking home the win in the A final tonight. Thank you, Lewis.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. We're joined as well now by second place finisher in tonight's one, Bradley Philpott.
Hello.
You couldn't quite get there at the end, but second place, not bad in the points going into the next round.
Yeah.
So overall, good points. You did actually lead at one point, I believe, at the start of the A final. Very close between yourself and Lewis, but just not quite enough in the end.
Yeah, I managed to get just about around the outside of him, but I was on the marbles, so it wasn't really going to happen. But yeah, it was good. I was happy. Actually got a decent lap in by the end there, so I think I got fastest lap of the event, so can't be too displeased, and lots of points for our little team.
Fantastic from you, Brad, and congratulations on second place as we'll move further forwards. Joined by Lee.
Hiya.
Yep, Lee Connell coming home today in third place overall. Big fight with yourself and Carl Chard and Callum as well. Busy on the racetrack. You managed to hold off. Probably the biggest fight in our A final was you 3, but you managed to hold them and take the third. So feeling good?
Yeah, definitely. Just got clean start. Got away. I think Callum made a mistake, which I got past him, and he literally just defended for the whole race. He was a very defensive driver. Now I'm quite happy I managed to keep him behind me.
Well, fantastic result from you in the end there. Third place overall, and now third place in the championship, of course, after one round. So second round's going to be a new challenge for you. Can you try and finish higher?
Yep, first.
First, that's the goal for the
forever,
time.
yeah.
There we go. Callum's goal is to end up finishing first, of course, in the next round. So thanks for joining us.
Brilliant. Cheers, thank you.
Well, that is, of course, a very busy first round we've had here in the Srtcc Touring Car Championship. An insanely busy first round. It's been brilliant tonight, and we actually are just going for a quick final word by Jake Sanson, who's going to pop on the microphone because, we don't know what else to do with him, so we give him the microphone.
He can't drive a car, so you may as well ask
Jake,
me a question.
It's been crazy. You've been racing tonight, of course. You watched the last 2 races. It's been a great night. Great kick-off for Season 3.
It's been a really interesting one. Lewis getting the upper hand on Bradley, that's going to be a really telling story in the championship. Interesting to see, not only did he beat Bradley, but by a big margin for those two. Over a second clear at the end there.
It
That's
has
a really
looked
tough
like
one.
he's not had to race as hard throughout the evening. Luke has had the car that's been he's been more relaxed. He's had the lead. He's not had to fight people. Brad has had to fight for his places and his wins, so it's boding well for the championship for him.
Yeah, I wonder if the Audi is not quite the same sort of car that Lewis has with the Honda at the moment, but the Honda certainly seems really, really good round here, and Lewis has been getting in the track time. He's looked really unstoppable all night, which is really good, and he's going to take a lot of positives going to Interlagos.
Yeah, he certainly is, Jake, and thanks for joining us, Jake Sanson. Final chat from Lewis Jones. Lewis, final thoughts before we wrap up tonight?
Yeah, I think we've seen some good close racing. It's been tightly fought, but at the end of the day, talent shines through, and irrespective of what these guys do on
You're
track.
just saying that because Luke Manley stood beside you.
Well, yes and no, but irrespective of what Callum and Brad do on track in the real world, Lewis, we know he's a talented sim racer, and he's come through from the back and won in his second heat, and he's won again from P2 on the grid. So I think Lewis has surely got to be pleased with himself, and in a moment we're going to do the podium ceremony, and we'll see where the team's championship lies. Leading the team's championship after round 1. And they only turned up with 2 drivers instead of 3. So here we are.
Yeah, we
podium
certainly
ceremony.
are. The podium ceremony is about to kick off. As we'll just stick with this for a few moments' time and just finish up this, and then we'll of course wrap things up for the night. But podium ceremony going to take place now. It's Lee Callum, of course, as along with Luke Manley and Bradley Philpott in tonight's event, taking the A final podium spots. Fantastic race from those guys towards the end of this one. So it's been a great evening.
There we are. It looks like Ben, owner of Simply Race, is just preparing us for the final part of the evening, the ceremony, as we look to hand out a few prizes to these guys. And here we are. If just fall silent. Thank you for joining us here at Simply Race for round 1 of Srtcc season 3. I've been Luke Jones.
I've been Rachel Whiteford.
And we want to thank you very much for tuning in, and all the best. Good night.
Very good night.